Good afternoon, everybody. We are now live on the severe thunderstorm outbreak that is occurring across southeastern Queensland. It's a significant threat. It's a really, really significant threat, and there is a substantial risk of some pretty big severe thunderstorms this afternoon. We should be on the air. If we can get some details on whether or not we are on the air, I believe we are. Just getting in here to see if we can get a little bit of data coming in from this stream. But yeah, we have a very significant severe thunderstorm outbreak now unfolding across southeast Queensland. Lots of severe thunderstorms, including this one here, that has rapidly developed in the last few minutes, the last 20 minutes or so, and is now going absolutely ham and likely to be a supercell thunderstorm very, very soon. Yeah, it's going to be a long afternoon. There's going to be a lot going on here, a lot happening here on these severe thunderstorms, and there most certainly is a significant risk, that's for sure. Now, if you are new to the channel, please do consider subscribing and leave a like on the stream if you are also on the YouTube page. Now, if you're over on Facebook as well, make sure to share the stream and get as many people informed as possible. Just playing around here to see if I can get a little bit of data coming through in regards to this live stream. But yeah, we sure do have a gnarly outbreak of thunderstorms now ongoing. There we go. All right. Cool. Lovely. All right, so this thunderstorm here, which is the one that I'm most concerned about, which is now moving into the Harrisville area. It's just towards the west of Harrisville at this point in time. This one is severe warned, and the Bureau of Meteorology hasn't highlighted it as very dangerous yet, but just over the top of Elora, they've highlighted it with their own severe thunderstorm, and not to mention this one up here just towards the south of Dalby. This one is also quite strong here, and there's likely some small to large hailstones in this one. If I was to extrapolate this, it looks like the thunderstorm that's moved just to the south of Dalby is going to miss Toowoomba. It's going to pass just the north of Toowoomba, but this thunderstorm here is likely to cause all sorts of problems into the Boona area and also north towards Harrisville. There's likely to be some pretty significant severe thunderstorm impacts from both of these thunderstorms, but the one that is moving into the Boona and the Harrisville area, this one here that's on the screen right now, this is the most concerning one so far. There's also a whole lot of thunderstorms, but as we've been talking about in the last couple of days, with these thunderstorms finding themselves in the environment that they are currently situated within, I expect these thunderstorms to upscale really quickly into those squall lines, and that is exactly what has happened here with these thunderstorms. They've upscaled very, very quickly, and the risk for large hailstones and all sorts of those risks further out into this part of Queensland is now actually quite minimal. But the southeast of Queensland, I reckon we're going to see some pretty nutty stuff in the next hour or so. There is definitely going to be some pretty significant thunderstorm activity in the next hour or so through this part of Queensland. So definitely something to keep tabs on right now. There is some significant severe storm activity beginning to build in this area. Now, of course, if you've got any questions or comments, please do leave them in the chat as well, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. I'll keep a close eye on the chat as well, just to make sure that we aren't missing anything. It's just kind of a waiting game now to see when these thunderstorms are going to begin to move in towards the western Brisbane area and see how strong these thunderstorms are going to get for those locations. I imagine it's not far away. I definitely reckon that we are going to see these thunderstorms moving into the Ipswich area in the next half an hour or so, but we're definitely looking at this event being a little bit more delayed compared to where it was actually meant to be. We expect these thunderstorms to be well and truly going now into the Brisbane CBD area, and I mean, they're just starting to get going now, and this one here that's moving towards the south of Thornton and through Townsend and then now in towards Harrisville is really quite strong, but these thunderstorms are, like I said, about 20 minutes to half an hour behind schedule, if that makes sense, and that is because of that high cloud coverage we saw earlier, which now puts the most significant risk towards the north of Brisbane. These thunderstorms here, if they don't upscale before they get over towards the Ipswich area, we're going to have a big problem towards the northern suburbs of Brisbane, and just as what the Axis has been saying as well, it looks like these thunderstorms are actually going to thread the needle between the Gold Coast and the Brisbane CBD, but Logan City could be in for a pretty nasty hit once these thunderstorms get into those areas. Lightning all over the broader area of Ipswich, Logan and Brisbane. Yeah, you'll be starting to hear this thunder and lightning now in the Brisbane area. Definitely if you're out towards Ipswich, there'll be a lot of lightning activity now beginning to be felt and heard as a result of these thunderstorms that are rapidly building and rapidly developing. There is so much lightning and so much activity right now that is beginning to get itself going. Apologise, that Siri had something to say. Anyways, so these thunderstorms, the forecast for them, if we have a look at the convective forecast model, like I said, generally a deadly accurate. Earlier it had the thunderstorm, or one of these major thunderstorms, threading that needle between the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area, as I mentioned. And now it's got the strongest storms towards the north of Brisbane, up around Caboolture in the next couple of hours. And I definitely reckon that the Access Convective, I mean, it knows what it's talking about. It's a really, really good forecast model. And yeah, once it starts calling for stuff, I generally pay very close attention. And again, location-wise, it is generally, like I said, very, very accurate. A lot of reports coming in of this extreme humidity through Southeast Queensland. It is very, very sticky for a lot of people today, just with the humidity, with these building thunderstorms. I mean, if we have a look at the humidity on the forecast models, you can see on the surface levels, widespread humidity values between that 70 to 80% type threshold. But once we start pulling this up into the atmosphere, I mean, the humidity stretches right up into the upper levels of the atmosphere, and you can see those humidity values don't begin to pull away until we get around that 300 HPA mark, when the air normally does begin to dry out, but still very, very humid right through the atmosphere. Lots of moisture, and that is why we are expecting such significant rainfall accumulations from these thunderstorms as being a pretty potent risk. So yeah, a feature that we are going to be paying very close attention to. In terms of the Sunshine Coast, that's going to be a threat a little bit later on. We do have thunderstorms expected into the Sunshine Coast. There is a lot of storm activity expected north of Caboolture through Maroochydore, the Glasshouse Mountains, and then up towards Noosa, and even up towards Rainbow Beach. We'll be looking at thunderstorms later today and into tonight. But the main risk right now is, of course, immediate southeastern Queensland, the Gold Coast, big threats down there, or inland from the Gold Coast, actually around or inland from Springbrook even, and the Gold Coast hinterland. Big threats for those locations. 1.7 centimetre hail in Melbourne with the severe thunderstorms. Wow, so we've got a lot of severe thunderstorms around our nation today. We had 3 centimetre hailstones earlier outside of Tara, which is just towards the northwest of Dalby, I believe. Here it is. Tara saw 3 centimetre hailstones. The biggest hailstones that we've seen so far tonight or today from this outbreak, but again, likely these hailstones are going to continue to increase with size. I don't think that this thunderstorm is going to get the very dangerous tag, not at least for the next 15 minutes or so. It's still definitely on the up. It's developing quite nicely, but it's not quite at that threshold yet. And if we have a look at the current radar imagery, I mean, there's a lot of hail in it here on the bomb radar, and then comparing that with the Doppler wind, very likely a supercell. There's a great rotation couplet in there now moving in towards Harrisville. Plenty of rotation, not as strong as what we saw last weekend, but there are some strong winds associated with this severe thunderstorm here, well in excess of 90 kilometers an hour. This is a powerful, powerful thunderstorm moving into the Harrisville area at this point in time. In the Logan City area now, well, these thunderstorms, they are strong, and even by Southeast Queensland standards, they are packing a punch, but by no means are these going to be world-ending or devastating severe thunderstorms. They are dangerous and they can cause destruction, but they're not going to cause devastation. These thunderstorms are packing a punch, though, so again, make sure you are ready for them. Now, this, if I can pause this on the latest frame and really zoom in on the rotation couplet that's really developing here, notice how you've got the dark blue here where the HARR is for Harrisville, and then just towards the south of that, a couple of k's towards the south, you've got that dark blue seeping in again, whilst it looks like an eye is developing, like what you'd see in a tropical cyclone. That is an indication of a very strong supercell thunderstorm in the making. It's a developing supercell thunderstorm, and it is likely, it's obviously a really low cloud base as well, considering the vicinity to the radar, but it is packing a punch. We're likely got some pretty significant and some pretty gnarly wall cloud activity around these locations here that are looking at these thunderstorms coming through. Not to mention the fact that it's 36 here now outside of Ipswich, still trying to get towards 30 for the Brisbane area. Oh no, 31 at Ipswich rather, 36 outside of Gatton, just towards the east of Toowoomba. But yeah, temperatures are warm, they are high, particularly further inland. So again, very, very healthy conditions for these thunderstorms that are continuing to rapidly develop. And if we just have a look at these thunderstorms here, now that they're getting themselves down onto the plains adjacent to the mountainous regions, they're now beginning to increase in precipitation. You can see reflectivity readings getting close to 70 decibels. That is a sign of some pretty significant hailstones that are likely to be dropped by this thunderstorm. So again, very much something to be watching quite closely now moving into the Harrisville area. And it honestly looks like Harrisville is going to get a direct hit from this hail core that's developing. I hope the clicking isn't too annoying. It's just the lightning coming through here. If it is, I'll turn it off. But it gives you an idea of just how intense the lightning activity is. Yeah, it is some pretty significant stuff today. Where is this storm originating from? Well, this is Brisbane. This is the Brisbane city area here. So it's just towards the southwest of Brisbane, about 50 kilometres away from the southwest of Brisbane. And it's just towards the south of Ipswich right now. And it looks like it's splitting off into two separate cells. And again, with the strongest one further towards the west. Packing a punch, that's for sure. And even these thunderstorms further north, like I said, still continuing to develop, but it also looks like they are now beginning to upscale into that squall line. But again, the risk today is squalls with embedded supercells. So again, that's something to very much keep an eye on. Will there be hail? No doubt. I mean, hail's already been reported at Tara, large hailstones 3 centimetres in diameter. But yeah, we've had some pretty significant hail already, and the prospect is only getting worse in the next hour or so. Lots of hail is expected through Southeast Queensland. Helen Vi, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor or renewing your membership as a channel sponsor as well. If you do want to get named mentioned at the end of every forecast update, then please do consider clicking the join button. Very, very generous. How do I access the old radar display with the BOM website? Well, it's simple. You just put reg.bom.gov.au, and I've bookmarked it because me personally, I cannot stand the new website design. I find it extremely difficult to use and extremely difficult to wrap my head around. So I'm switching back to the old one, and I think a lot of people are in my boat as well. So that is reg.bom.gov.au, and that gives you access to all of the old features that BOM used to have. That is a mean squall line here that's moving towards the north of Taroom, packing a punch. Likely some very strong wind gusts embedded in this one. Lots of heavy rainfall as well, and I mean, it goes without saying, a lot of lightning as well embedded in this. There is a huge amount of lightning that's getting itself sent up, and even this thunderstorm here, big lightning. And thank you for that generous tip as well, Helen Fire, much appreciated. There's just so much lightning today. We knew that lightning was going to be a massive player throughout the course of today, but it really is quite mind-boggling how much lightning is beginning to get itself going through Southeast Queensland. It is crazy how much is happening right now. And these have all developed in the last hour or so as well. I mean, this stream has been rushed together. It's been really quickly put together. So, yeah, it gives you a bit of an idea of just how stressful things have been here today. It really came quite quickly. 77 decibels, getting flash blacks. Well, none of these are quite yet at that 77 decibel reading here. We're still getting some pretty nuts readings here, 69, 70 decibels. That would be dropping 3 centimetre hailstones for sure. Definitely some pretty big thunderstorms and definitely some big hailstones as well. And apparently we have a refresh on the severe thunderstorm warnings. Holy moly! Well, that is a complex, that's for sure. That is a picture through the Lockyer Valley, Ipswich, Logan, Scenic Rim, Gold Coast, Redland City, and even into the Moreton Bay, Somerset, and parts of the Toowoomba forecast districts. There is so many severe thunderstorms. That caught me by surprise if you couldn't tell. 4 separate severe thunderstorms. Toowoomba in the firing line, Laidley in the firing line, Ipswich in the firing line, the Brisbane CBD in the firing line, but especially for Redbank, Greenbank, Logan City, Logan Central, Redland City as well, and then Beenleigh, north of Coomera, Beaudesert and Boonah all in the firing line for significant severe thunderstorm activity in the next half an hour or so. No updates from BOM yet into what we are or what we have seen from these thunderstorms, but these are warned for damaging winds, large hailstones and heavy rainfall, quintessential Southeast Queensland. Risk of tornadoes. Yes, there is a big risk of tornadoes today, a much more substantial risk than normal, and that is because we have low cloud bases which favour tornadoes. So these supercell thunderstorms, when they do develop, and I can highlight this really well with the radar imagery, or the Doppler radar imagery, over on the old BOM website. If we have a look at that Doppler radar imagery, like I said just a few moments ago, the rotation in these thunderstorms, you can see these circles of like lighter colours contrasted with those darker colours. That's indicative of rotation in these thunderstorms. and that is where our tornado threat lies. So again, that's something to be watching very, very closely, and something that I'm going to be keeping tabs on throughout the course of this live coverage. So there is very much the risk of tornadoes throughout the course of today, very much the risk of strong tornadoes as well. This is the best chance and the best setup that I've seen for tornado activity through Southeast Queensland in quite a while. In fact, honestly, in my 2 years of tracking severe thunderstorms in Southeast Queensland, this is the best setup that I've seen, and I definitely reckon we are going to see some tornadoes, or at least some willies drop down from these clouds. Again, very low cloud bases, very strong winds. It's not going to be difficult for tornadoes to spin up. And tornadoes happen in Australia between 50 to 80 times a year. Southeast Queensland normally gets a few every single storm season. They do happen. They aren't as strong or as dramatic as what we see over in America, not by any stretch of the imagination, but they do happen, and they can pack a punch, and they are a significant concern today as well. And thank you so much for that generous tip as well. Very much appreciated. 700 millibar shear is very strong in these thunderstorms, and that's why they're moving and developing just so quickly. You can already see these thunderstorms beginning to develop out to the Ipswich area, Harrisville, momentarily about to get impacted by some strong, severe thunderstorm activity there. A lot of lightning just came through there. That was like bubble wrap. But yeah, strong 700 millibar shear, and I can show you that here from the eSymbolBear forecast model. If we have a look, you can see wind shear values of that 700 millibar, about 70 kilometers an hour. That's closing in on 40 knots for the Ipswich area. That's a lot of shear for these thunderstorms, and you can actually see very well highlighted by this forecast model that there is a stark contrast between what we were expecting initially and the thunderstorms that are developing now. They're a couple of hours behind, and that is what I said would be the concern, or about an hour behind. That's what I said would be the problem today, because these thunderstorms or because that dry air and that cloud cover that we had earlier today. Lots and lots of lightning still continuing to blast Southeast Queensland. This one that's going for the Toowoomba area now. Toowoomba in the next 30 seconds or so is going to begin to feel the impacts of these thunderstorms. Oakley about to get clobbered by this severe thunderstorm here, the hail core passing just towards the south of Oakley, but Toowoomba momentarily in the next kind of 5 minutes to the next 10 minutes or so is likely to see the impacts of these severe thunderstorms extend through. And in fact, it looks like this cell is developing right over the top of Toowoomba, moving in towards Mount Lofty and Tabletop Mountain. We're likely to see this thunderstorm reach its maximum intensity as it moves over the Toowoomba area. Anyone from Toowoomba, let me know what the conditions are like right now. I imagine it's getting quite gusty, and the thunderstorm really is beginning to build in at those locations. Lots and lots of lightning. It is unbelievable how much lightning is coming through right now. Strathpine is in the severe zone, yes. Blowing a gale now. Yeah, these storms, they've got some strong wind gusts in them. I mean, if we have a look at these Doppler winds here, the darkest blue readings are 90 kilometre an hour winds towards the radar, and I find that these are extreme underestimations at the best of times. So isolated gusts up to 125 kilometres an hour very likely occurring in these severe thunderstorms as they move over locations. There's some very strong wind gusts, put it that way. I can pretty much guarantee you that there are some very, very strong wind gusts in these thunderstorms as they move through. Definitely ahead of these thunderstorms, there are some very strong wind gusts. You can even see they're now beginning to make it over the border. Wollongong in the northeast of New South Wales, starting to see some thunderstorms, and there is the chance that Lismore, Tweed Head, and then across towards Byron Bay may even see some thunderstorms later today as well. So again, that's something to be looking at quite closely. Is Ipswich all right? Well, they are right now. It looks like Ipswich is going to dodge this severe thunderstorm here that's moving into the Harrisville area right now, or at least the worst of it. The hail core is going to pass just towards the south, but a lot of lightning now moving into the Ipswich area, and that's likely to carry over into a pretty significant severe thunderstorm hit in the next 30 seconds or so. It's definitely quite gusty, and I imagine the temperature's just plummeted in the Ipswich area. And then about 20 minutes behind that, we'll have this Toowoomba cell, and having a look at the latest radar imagery, it looks like Toowoomba is getting clobbered right now as well. Very likely small hailstones occurring, and potentially hailstones up around that 3 or 4 centimetre mark now occurring in the Toowoomba area. Big population centre right under the influence of this substantial severe thunderstorm. Locally intense rainfall. If you are driving right now, get off the road. I think that goes without saying. Pull over and wait for this storm to pass, because it is packing a mean punch. If you are in Toowoomba, like I said, let me know what this thunderstorm is doing right now, because it is very likely giving you guys an absolute hiding. And just to have a look at that severe thunderstorm warning again, this is the more general one from BOM, including the Wide Bay and Burnett forecast district, Southeast Coast, Darling Downs and Granite Belt, and then into parts of the Central Highlands and Coalfields. This includes locations such as Taroom, Kingaroy, Dalby, Gatton, Toowoomba, Ipswich, Jimboomba, Boonah, Beaudesert, even Warwick, the Gold Coast, Brisbane CBD and Caboolture by extension. Also up towards Eidsvold and Guyana, likely to see severe thunderstorm activity in the next hour or so as well. But these thunderstorms down here, lots of them moving through, and like I said, Toowoomba now copping a direct hit from a very strong thunderstorm. Fraser Coast should dodge the worst of these thunderstorms. If anything, for the Fraser Coast later today, it's just going to be a bit of a blow and a bit of wind here and there. Nothing too crazy, nothing too insane up on the Fraser Coast, but we definitely could see some rather strong stuff up there. So we will be watching that quite closely. And the good thing about these thunderstorms is that they are rainfall dominant. There's a lot of rainfall in these thunderstorms coming through, and we could be seeing some very healthy, significant rainfall accumulations as a result of these severe thunderstorms as they move through. And I mean, I've been looking at the numbers from the forecast models. If we have a look at the convective forecast modelling throughout the remainder of tonight from the Access C in the Brisbane section, under the right thunderstorms, we could be seeing 50 to 75 millimetres of rainfall. And even this data that I'm looking at right now is not actually the most highest resolution data that the Access has to offer. Some of the numbers that I've been seeing around the Wivenhoe outlook have been approaching 75 millimetres and even 100 millimetres in a few spots. So definitely some good rainfall coming through tonight, but it is exclusive for those that cop the hit from these severe thunderstorms, which are rapidly maturing right now. This is a very gnarly picture across Southeast Queensland, and definitely one of the most significant thunderstorm outbreaks that I've seen in quite a while for Southeast Queensland. Whether that's tracking it live, it's definitely one of the most significant since the 2023 Christmas New Year outbreak, but yeah, just in terms of the history as well, this is probably top 10 in the last decade or so. This is a gnarly outbreak, a gnarly occurrence of thunderstorms moving through. It's just going to be a waiting game for the next radar imagery, which is just seconds away. Be interesting to see what's moved over to Toowoomba, and I'm very keen to see what Toowoomba has seen hail-wise. I definitely think they've seen some pretty big hailstones in the Toowoomba area. That's for sure. Of course, if you are enjoying the coverage, please do consider leaving a like, subscribing as well. Click the join button if you've got the time to. You get your name mentioned at the end of every forecast update as one of our most valuable fans, or one of my most valuable fans. And if you're in the position to do so, feel free to send through a super chat as well. Greatly appreciated. It keeps the lights on here as well. So again, thank you so much to all of the support. Being hit really bad, whereabouts is that Noosa? Well, you should be in luck on the rainfall side of things. There is definitely some rainfall coming for Noosa tonight. It's just a matter of whether or not these thunderstorms can make it up there, which they're likely to do. They're likely to be non-severe by that point, but into the Noosa area, just having a look at this line here, very likely to make it up there, and I'm going to say between 10 to 30 millimetres for Noosa later tonight, hopefully coming through, and it will come through very, very quickly. Possible couplet forming, yeah. It looks like we're seeing this supercell kind of develop just outside of Ipswich. And this is a powerful supercell thunderstorm as well at that, in the making, just towards the north of Harrisville. I don't think it's going to go straight over the Ipswich area, but this is very much a thunderstorm that we need to watch very, very closely, because this is a strong supercell, and again, it is about to move into the Ipswich area, and its trajectory takes it right into Ipswich. Oh wow, just looking at this right now, that's not a good picture for Ipswich. That's a very strong rotation couplet. That is a great pickup as well in the super chat. That's why we keep looking at it. But yeah, moving into Ipswich, that is a very, very tight and a strong rotation. And you can see just this line of squalls now developing. It's embedded supercell activity in this line of squalls. And that is the stuff that we've been looking out for today, and that's the stuff that we're going to be looking out for in the next couple of hours. Ipswich, if you are in Ipswich, it is time to hunker down. It's time to get inside, away from all the lightning activity, get into an interior part of your house. Winds are going to be very strong if they're not already. Gusts to 125 kilometers an hour are very likely to occur. Large hailstones up to 4 centimeters in size are possible, and we could also be looking at some very heavy to locally intense rainfall accumulations as well. But Ipswich, it is now time. Get inside, hunker down, and stay away from this thunderstorm. And again, if you are on the road, it is time to get off it. A lot of lightning activity moving into the Ipswich area. And again, in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so, most likely around the next 8 minutes, we have very dangerous tag now southwest of Brisbane. That was expected, having a look at how this thunderstorm's developed. Very dangerous, severe thunderstorms now for destructive wind gusts, giant hailstones, and very heavy rainfall. Ipswich, you are going to get clobbered by this thunderstorm by the looks of things, particularly into the southern areas of Ipswich. So we're talking about Ripley and then out towards Greenbank as well. Same areas affected last weekend, Willowbank, Amberley. It all looks like you are going to be very badly impacted by this severe thunderstorm that's moving through, and it is of comparable intensity and comparable danger to where we were last weekend. And Sean Campbell, I'd like to thank you for that very generous donation as well. Yeah, this is strong now moving into the Ipswich area. If it's not a tornado, it's going to be a downburst, a microburst, or something like that. Again, I don't think the hail is the main threat from this thunderstorm here. There's definitely some large hailstones within this thunderstorm, but I don't think that we've got a serious hail threat as much as we may have a tornado threat on our hands here moving into the Ipswich area. Now, again, I want to put all the worries at bay here and say that tornadoes in Australia are dangerous. They're dangerous weather events, but they are not as destructive or as apocalyptic as what they are over in the United States. So when you hear the word tornado, it definitely means pay attention and stay calm, but pay very close attention. But it doesn't mean all-out apocalypse is coming. But for the Ipswich area right now, we're looking at destructive wind gusts to 130 kilometres an hour at a very much a minimum. Even for a brief period of time, that could strip a roof off a house, that could cause all sorts of problems, all sorts of very bad damage into the Ipswich area. And again, this goes out towards the Amberley Airport and then across towards Greenbank, Redbank, those locations as well. This is a very, very, very serious situation now unfolding into the Ipswich area. Sky's green in Ipswich. Okay, well, that just confirms our giant hailstone threat. Green skies generally mean significant hail, very large hailstones, giant hailstones even. So the fact that we've now just got that confirmation in Ipswich, that's not good news. We've got some big hailstones now inbound into the Ipswich area. Whoa, and that is so much lightning that's just came through. That is a sign of a very quickly developing severe thunderstorm. Ipswich, hunker down. That is all I can say right now. Get inside. I don't have any wind observations, or the wind observations on this map here are terrible, but it'd be good to see how strong the wind gusts do get into the Ipswich area. But if we do have people on the ground in Ipswich watching this stream, I hope we don't lose you. The power is very likely to go out with a storm like this, but let us know what's going on in the Ipswich area, because it is very likely some pretty gnarly severe thunderstorm activity now beginning to roll in to Ipswich. Take care, everyone. All the best to those in Ipswich. This is a very strong thunderstorm and likely one of the strongest we've seen in quite a while through the Ipswich area. Definitely the strongest of the last couple of years, and it is substantially stronger just looking at these winds compared to what we were looking at last weekend in terms of a hail perspective. So again, I would just like to say take care. Wow, that latest rotation couplet that I'm seeing here. Just have a look at these blue lines that are pushing ahead of Ipswich. Destructive wind gusts within that. That's nasty. And then again, a rotation couplet just towards the south of Ipswich. That's going to go straight through Greenbank by the looks of things. So that rotation couplet is likely somewhere around here. It's south of Ipswich and south of Ripley, and that extrapolated will go on towards Spring Mountain and just towards the south of Greenbank and the suburbs here towards the north of the A5. But yeah, that's a strong wind gust there, and that could indicate a microburst. That could also indicate what we call a derecho thunderstorm, where we've got some very strong wind gusts pushing ahead of the thunderstorm, and we'll be looking at wind speeds there easy in the 125 kilometre an hour, very destructive range. That's some very, very strong wind gusts moving through. And again, very, very concerning indeed. Whew, this is a lot. This is a lot to take in, looking at it live, but also, again, just looking at some of the reports that are coming through. It is quite concerning, particularly around the Ipswich area. And so much lightning as well. Some crazy, crazy lightning. So it came through very quickly, but was very, very fierce. Yep, that's what we expected to come through. And again, just looking at that Doppler reading here with these gusts, extremely fierce winds have came through. Thank you so much, both Baz and Drew, for those very generous tips and those very kind words as well. That's very much appreciated, so thank you so kindly for that support. Um, yeah, so Brisbane next by the looks of things. This storm looks like it's going to pass towards the northwest of Brisbane, but it definitely looks like we are looking at Brisbane being the next potential impact from this severe thunderstorm outbreak, especially towards the northwest of Brisbane. She is big. This one is a big, big thunderstorm. Some of the latest radar imagery would be great just about now. So much lightning in the area. I mean, yeah, that's really pushing through. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this just microburst. 71 decibels, and again, I don't think that the hail threat is as massive from this severe thunderstorm as is the lightning and the wind threat. I definitely reckon this thunderstorm is microbursting right now. Now, a microburst is a rapid, just a rapid surge of moisture and rainfall coming down from the thunderstorm. And I definitely reckon that this thunderstorm is now having a microburst, which is an intense rate of precipitation just towards the south of Ipswich. And keep in mind, the winds are done for the Ipswich area. It's still going to be very gusty and blowy with this thunderstorm, but the rain is next, and especially for those places towards the south of Ipswich. So we're talking Ripley and just those immediate southern suburbs of Ipswich. So Raceview, Flinders View here, Yamanto, Deebing Heights especially. Very significant rainfall risk coming through. We could be talking about 50 millimetres in 10 minutes or even more in some of these places. Very, very significant risk now. Is this a supercell? Yeah, this is a supercell thunderstorm for sure. Green sky, intense precipitation. This is guaranteed 110% a supercell, particularly with these kind of readings. It's a rotating thunderstorm, and we can see that very clearly on the Doppler radar as well. That is a strong, strong wind signal. It also looks like Boona is next, and we might even have another embedded supercell now moving into the Greenbank area, which is this storm here. Another little rotation coupled on the radar that's about to move over Harrisville and then in towards Flinders Peak and Mount Blaine. And then that will be off in towards Greenbank before we know it. And again, significant risk for those locations as well. Very dangerous. Yeah, we've covered that these thunderstorms are now very, very dangerous. This thunderstorm is very dangerous. Yeah, we don't have an update just yet, but I imagine considering the gravity of this situation here across Southeast Queensland, an update is due in the next couple of minutes. The BOM are going to be very, very quick to get the word out on these thunderstorms. I mean, they should be in an event like this. This is a very significant thunderstorm moving through. Moved your chili plants in. Good, very good news. Protect the plants. Make sure you are ready for these thunderstorms. Brisbane, you are next. You've got maybe about 15 minutes if you live just towards the south of Brisbane and about 30 minutes towards the north of the Brisbane River to prepare for these thunderstorms. Get off the road, get everything inside, and just get ready for what is a very, very strong thunderstorm. There's very likely some damage around the Ipswich area in the wake of this thunderstorm that's moving through now, and it's going to be just as strong, if not stronger, as it clips the northern suburbs of Brisbane, the northern side of the CBD, and then over the Wivenhoe Outlook and the Diagala National Park and Mount Nebo area, and then into the Samford Valley eventually. Massive hail in Ripley. How big are we talking in terms of massive hail? I believe that considering where this thunderstorm is, but yeah, 12,000 customers are now offline. Power, wow. Okay, this thunderstorm is huge. That's crazy. I haven't seen numbers like that since Cyclone Alfred in terms of power cuts. 12,000 customers in just 5 minutes. That's crazy, crazy stuff. That is, yeah, really, really, really bad. Redcliffe be fine. Well, Redcliffe is in the direct firing line of this thunderstorm here, Redcliffe being up on the top of the screen right now, but it is likely to be a lot weaker, but also a lot more rain dominant by the time it gets up towards the Redcliffe area. Yeah, I'd be very keen to see how much hail or what size of the hail we're seeing in the Ripley area. This is some really... What's the clicking noise? That's the lightning. I'm going to turn that off because there is just so much of it coming through. But yeah, that's the lightning that's flashing through on this screen. 6 centimetre hailstones. Yeah, if we're talking about 6 centimetre hailstones, that's some pretty nuts stuff. 6 centimetre hailstones. Giant hail was going to be a threat today, but I didn't expect it to be that large, that's for sure. That's some really, really nasty sized hailstones. So, yeah. Again, lots and lots of lightning in this thunderstorm here. We're just waiting for our next update to come through, which again should be in just a few moments here. Yeah, big hailstones. And lots of rainfall as well. I mean, the hail and the wind is going to be the runaway major threat from this severe thunderstorm that's moving into the Ipswich area right now. But there is also the big risk of some very heavy rainfall coming through into these areas. Some much needed heavy rainfall as well, might I add. But yeah, we need to be watching out for that flash flooding risk as well. These are some intense cells that are moving through, some very heavy rainfall moving through. That's a very significant reading on the radar here, and again, some extremely strong winds, a solid rotation couplet. This is a supercell thunderstorm. It may even have a tornado on the ground. We don't have confirmation of that just yet, and I'm not going to comment on that until I do get some official confirmation coming through from some of the trusted storm chasers that I have on the ground. But there is most certainly the chance of a tornado moving through, or at least some kind of rotation couplet touching the ground, just considering how strong the rotation couplet is right now. Again, a really nasty thunderstorm. 6 to centimetre hailstones earlier on in the month. Yeah, the thunderstorm that came through last weekend in Caboolture was 5 centimetre hailstones, likely a bit bigger in a few locations, but yeah, this is rivaling it. This thunderstorm into the Ipswich area is most certainly rivaling it. Your pot plants definitely need the water, but they do not need the wind and the hail that's going to be coming through. The wind and the hail will smash through any pot plant, so just be careful, be aware. Significant severe thunderstorm potential. Pressure change, yep, that's normal for thunderstorms like this. Very normal. Quintessential severe thunderstorm stuff. And again, as this moves into the Ipswich area, just waiting for some more radar imagery here. We've really neglected Toowoomba. I imagine Toowoomba's just copped an absolute hiding as well. But this thunderstorm here is just an order of magnitude stronger than the Toowoomba one. And yeah, this is really packing a punch as it moves through these locations. Intense precipitation rates, large hailstones, destructive winds, the whole 9 miles. So we are going to give this another minute or so, wait for the radar to update, and hopefully we'll get some kind of update as well from the Bureau of Meteorology on their severe thunderstorm warning map as well, because I mean, this is a very hectic severe thunderstorm map that we're looking at. It wasn't as hectic as what it was just a few moments ago, but again, very dangerous severe thunderstorms. Chris McKenna, generous tip for the west, considering the generous tip and the nice words. Over in the west of Queensland, we do have some significant thunderstorm activity. Outback stuff in northwestern Queensland up around Mount Isa. That sort of stuff is just very high precipitation rates, but sporadic raindrops, so not too much and definitely nothing in the comparison to what we have down in this part of Queensland. Strong thunderstorms though around the Mount Isa area, likely some isolated heavy rainfall and damaging wind gusts, but again, like I said, sporadic raindrops, not likely to result in much rainfall accumulations. There is lots of rain and thunder around those locations, but again, just not anywhere near as much as the rain and thunder here. Now, keep in mind that this map here just shows cloud to ground lightning, which makes up about 10 to 20% of all lightning activity in thunderstorms like this. So we're actually looking at about 5 times, at least 5 times the amount of lightning activity that's flashing up on screen right now. In short, constant bolts, constant thunder, constant lightning, constant flashes through southeast Queensland right now, particularly towards the south of Ipswich as these thunderstorms roll through. It's just constantly flashing. It's like an ambulance driving past, just flashing and flashing and flashing. And we'll see this radar update momentarily. Thank you so much, Lay Ann, for that generous tip as well. Very much appreciated. Mount Tamborine is spitting as usual. Yeah, it looks like Mount Tamborine and the locations along the Gold Coast are kind of going to dodge this. There is a strong cell now moving south of Bow Desert, but it looks like it's almost on its way out. It tried to get itself going, but there's not been much lightning in it as of late. Might be a bit of lightning over the Springbrook area and then around the Gold Coast area and then around Advanced Town Lake into the Nerang River. But again, I don't really think there's going to be too much around Upper Springbrook or even through the Mount Tamborine area or into the Gold Coast hinterland. of course, all of the action is happening up here, and I mean, wow, what a cell now moving over to the Ipswich area. Large hailstones very likely occurring, and again, I believe the reports of 5 or 6 centimetre hail in the Ripley area. That's been the hardest hit location. These really strong wind gusts are about to jump the Brisbane River now and move into some of the suburbs just towards northeast of Ipswich, so over the Brisbane River, likely absolutely blowing its guts out right now in those locations. Very, very significant. We don't have an update just yet. You'll find that I'll be refreshing this page very, very frequently because I do want to see the latest information on these severe thunderstorms, what they're producing, what they're throwing out. Likely some very nasty stuff. And this cell is just getting stronger and stronger as well. I mean, it's showing no signs of slowing down just yet. Yeah, very strong wind gusts moving towards the north of Archerfield now. Ipswich just starting to calm down a little bit by the looks of things, but we still have those strong rotation couplets embedded within those lines moving into the Greenbank area, and if we cross-reference that with the radar imagery, it looks like lots of lightning again, likely some very strong winds now crossing into the Greenbank and the Redbank area, and then into the Logan City area as well. It's probably blowing quite significant, and I imagine it definitely feels pretty ominous in the Brisbane CBD right now, just with the amount of lightning coming through. Yeah. There is lots and lots and lots of stuff happening through Southeast Queensland today. Very significant. This is the most significant severe thunderstorm outbreak that I've tracked in Southeast Queensland. It was always going to be a potent setup today. I can't wait to read the Facebook comments, especially about this being a fizzer, because some poor sod down on the Gold Coast didn't get their thunderstorm. This is most certainly the furthest thing from it. This is a wild thunderstorm moving through Ipswich right now. And I think it is only going to get better now for the Ipswich area. So that's the good news for Ipswich. It is only going to get better, but conditions rapidly deteriorating north of the river through the Diagla National Park and into the Wivenhoe Outlook and then into the Samford Valley. Conditions will begin to deteriorate in the next 10 minutes or so. Brisbane live camera, that's a good point. Do we have any webcam footage right now showing these thunderstorms? Because if we do, that would be... Well, this is a great angle here. I believe this would be looking north or northwest, actually, at the Archerfield Airport. So this is looking over here, just ahead of this thunderstorm. That is a super ominous picture. That's one of the most impressive webcams that I've seen, well, at least from this webcam here. But I mean, having a look at this here around the Archerfield area. And then this is looking southwest right into the core of the thunderstorm. I can even see that green tinge actually on this webcam, which is a low-resolution camera. That is, and a defined wall cloud in there as well. That is crazy stuff. This is definitely one of the strongest thunderstorms that I've seen. And I mean, it's just pouring down here. This is at the Warrego Highway at the intersection of Hopener Road, just towards the north east of Ipswich. Just pouring, visibility less than 10 metres there. Crazy stuff. And Eamon, thank you so much for that generous tip as well. Yeah, just keep an eye out for any more webcam footage, because that is our best look on this stream at webcam footage, because I obviously can't bring up any other live streams because of copyright laws, but it's just constantly flashing. It's like a bubble bath down here with the amount of lightning that's going on. This thunderstorm's still developing, still intensifying, and it's still getting itself going. So we're going to see more lightning, we're going to see more hail, we're going to see stronger winds in the next 15 minutes as this thunderstorm continues to mature. And this is just really significant stuff now in this part of Queensland. Really powerful thunderstorm. Whew. Very significant thunderstorm activity that's moving through in these locations. And again, just looking at the radar right now, we haven't got an update just yet. I wonder if we do have an update on the warnings. Still tagged as very dangerous, but we haven't had an update now for about 20 minutes. So very dangerous storm moving north towards Ipswich was the last reading. This will likely now include a very dangerous storm warning for the Brisbane area as well. And I think one factor that's being slightly overlooked by this thunderstorm is it's very strong, but it's also very long. Like you can see it's stretching from its strongest point here to over the Ipswich area, but it's also stretching right down towards the Logan City area as well. And whilst it is weaker as you get further south, it's still quite strong, and there are some very strong wind gusts within it. Yeah, it really looks like this is going to give much of the Brisbane Metro a clobbering as well. On the Gold Coast, just want to look at the lightning. Well, unfortunately, it looks like these thunderstorms are going to, for the most part, bypass the Gold Coast. But I do appreciate that generous donation as well. Same from Kay, special, generous donation too. If I had to make a comment right now, and I might be going out on a bit of a limb, but it looks like it's going to split. And we're going to see one side of this move north of Brisbane and one move just towards the south, sparing the CBD. And Peter, thank you so much for that generous tip. North Sunny Coast will miss out. For the most part, the North Sunshine Coast will miss out on these thunderstorms, but we will still see some much needed rainfall and some much appreciated rainfall up on the northern parts of the Sunshine Coast later today. It just won't be as flash and as generous as the rainfall that this part of Queensland, Brisbane, is getting right now. And Josh, thank you so much for that generous donation as well. Thank you so much for the kind words as well. So much lightning moving through here, and again some very strong wind gusts likely ahead of this severe thunderstorm. This lightning now beginning to push into the Brisbane area. It's just bubbling and flickering on this map, which means there is so much of it. Now, in saying that, I might have to backtrack on my comment and say that the thunderstorms today, they may not split because we are looking at these storms upscaling very quickly. And as such, these thunderstorms may not split in the end. They're just going to continue to drop that really, really heavy precipitation. And that precipitation is only going to get heavier as these thunderstorms continue to head further towards the north. There's so much lightning here. This is, yeah, we might even be looking at another microburst in the making just with the amount of lightning. It's definitely getting stronger still, this thunderstorm. And it's getting too close to Brisbane for comfort. That is a crazy hook echo. Wow. I don't know if you can tell, but I haven't seen anything like this in a long, long time. This is American stuff that's happening right now. Well, some of these thunderstorms, this is American stuff that we're seeing unfold through this part of Queensland. So absolutely mental, just nuts, absolutely crazy stuff that's beginning to unfold in a few of these locations. So yeah, I don't use that term lightly either, because the Americans, I know for a fact, they get some absolutely crazy storms over there. But yeah, this is a massive monster hook echo. And I just would not be surprised if this was microbursting again. It's definitely got giant hailstones within it. That goes without saying. But just with the amount of lightning that's flashing through here towards the immediate southwest of Brisbane. So we're talking about our suburbs through here. 17 Mile Rocks, Jindalee, Westlake, Darra, Sumner, River Hills, Pinjarra Hills, Brookfield, Kenmore Heights, Kenmore, Chapel Hill. These suburbs here along the Brisbane River are just getting smashed with lightning. Any hail, there's lots of hail and big hailstones out there as well. We're talking about hailstones up around that 5 or 6 centimetre mark. There's lots and lots of stuff. Yeah, American stuff twice in 2 weekends, yeah. Yes, far out. This is crazy. This is, in terms of lightning and winds, this is one of the strongest storms in the last decade into the Brisbane city area. In terms of hail, we're going to need to wait a few more moments for some confirmations in terms of this hail risk. Again, just no update from BOM. It's going on nearly half an hour since their last update, so it'd be good if we could get one very, very soon. Crazy, crazy stuff. And Lizard, thank you so much for that. Batten down the trampolines for sure. Get the tarps over the cars, and get ready for what is going to be a very significant, severe thunderstorm impact here. Very, very intense precipitation. By far the most intense precipitation that I've seen in quite a while. I apologise if I'm flapping around a bit like a fish. The speakers are picking up my voice and talking to me. If you are brand new to the channel, of course, please do consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video while you're at it for more updates like this one. And if you're in the position to do so, consider sending over a super chat to help improve the content, allow me to do it more and more. And again, everyone that has done so, massively, massively appreciated. Dark clouds, yeah, these are dark clouds. These are green clouds. We've had some confirmation over in Ipswich. Interestingly enough, all the commenters that I've noticed watching from Ipswich are no longer with us. And I imagine that is because of the power cut. At least 12,000 customers, so probably about 40,000 people lost power pretty much instantly once this storm went through. And I imagine it just kind of blew over the power grid. It blew over all of those power lines more or less instantaneously. A lot of lightning, far out. That is a stupid amount of lightning in here. And it is so, so, so dense as well. I mean, on a square kilometre basis, we're looking at between 40 to 100 strikes happening just per hour. And a lot of this is happening very, very quickly as well. So this is just some crazy stuff. Seriously crazy stuff. Hail in Redcliffe, likely at this point in time. Small hailstones at the very least, but hail in Redcliffe very, very likely at this point in time. That's for sure. Grey clouds, I imagine that this is more than grey clouds. This is probably closer towards black or green clouds moving through the amount of lightning that's coming through here. But yeah, I mean, it'd be a bright picture because this lightning is constant. It is happening all the time. There's relentless across this part of Queensland. So yeah, wow. Trampoline flew over your house. That does not surprise me with a storm like this. Again, thank you for that generous donation. Halloween actually does have storms on the forecast as well. It's a stormy picture through Southeast Queensland, just generally speaking, over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, Halloween's also got a storm outbreak on the forecast. Details aren't really picture perfect yet, but we do definitely have some prospects of storms for Halloween. Charge the phone, get the batteries ready, and like I said earlier today, it's too late to now, but buy some ready-made meals, get dinner, or have something cold for dinner tonight, because again, you're very likely to lose power in an event like this. Now, I wonder if we have an update on the severe thunderstorm situation. Not just yet, but this is very, very dangerous stuff. Update on the Doppler wind would be great as well. See what wind gusts are moving through these locations. Very strong ones, that's for sure, and another rotation couplet now just to the south of Logan City. A little bit more hidden through the Brisbane area. We're actually a little bit unsure, and that is because the heavy precipitation is now beginning to move over the radar site in Mount Stapleton. I believe that's what it's called, or Stapleton. I've probably just made a fool out of myself, but yeah, we're now beginning to get mixed signals, and that's why the precipitation actually is going to look lighter, even though it is still extremely heavy and intense. Wow, the Brisbane CBD now starting to get smashed with lightning, extremely dense lightning activity moving into the Brisbane CBD area right now. No update just yet. Thank you so much for the generous donation as well, Salty. Much appreciated. Yeah, the lightning just baffles me. There is just so much lightning activity sweeping through into this part of Queensland right now. It's absolutely crazy. Actually, we will get a better look at these storms for the Marburg radar. However, it looks like, again, double whammy. Thunderstorms moving over the Brisbane radar right now. Thunderstorms moving over the Marburg radar. And we're likely to see those clash at the same time, which means our readings... Whoa, okay. Now, let me break this down for you in detail. You can see the reds here contrasting with the blues just towards the northwest of Archerfield. That is a strong rotation couplet. That screams... very powerful supercell at the very least, and that could also scream tornado. So this is an area that I'm going to be asking chasers about, that's for sure. That is a seriously strong rotation couplet just towards the north of Archerfield, and that is likely throwing out some very significant hail, winds likely in excess of 125 kilometers an hour. So much lightning, as you can see. You know, just to answer the elephant in the room, how am I using the old Bureau of Meteorology website? Well, it's simple. Up at the top of the URL, reg.bom.gov.au. That's how you get onto the old BOM website. And I thoroughly recommend it. I think that's the best protest that we can do against whatever the new site is, because the new site, and fancy updating it ahead of storm season. Everybody's used to it, and storm season is when people need the most readily available, simple information, and the new website just is not that. Brisbane, you are next. You are right in the firing line, and this is going to be a big hit for Brisbane. Very, very strong wind gusts likely. Now, I wonder if we can get some current observations around the Ipswich area and see what winds we are going to be talking about, because like I said, our gusts ahead of this thunderstorm, very, very strong. Winds now just beginning to pick up. They're now at 30 kilometers an hour into the CBD. A lot higher than the sustained winds. That's only going to increase as well. Now, Greenbank copped 15 millimeters of rainfall, and I believe, yeah, that came in like Well, came in like a wrecking ball, that's for sure. We've had 8 millimeters there in the last 5 minutes. So it's going at well over a millimeter a minute, and it's been raining for the better part of 20 minutes there. So yeah, these thunderstorms are packing a punch. And again, the strongest wind gusts that have been observed right now, 50 kilometers an hour. But I imagine there's some much, much stronger wind gusts associated with these thunderstorms as they blow through. Oh wow, 95 kilometers an hour at Ipswich, and they didn't even cop the absolute brunt of this storm. Well, that does not bode well for Brisbane. That does not bode well for Brisbane. Ahead of this thunderstorm here, because Ipswich got clipped by the edge of the microburst, I imagine, whatever's going on with this thunderstorm. I'm going to call it the microburst for simplicity's sake, but the strongest winds went around Ripley, and the Ipswich Observation Centre is just towards the north of Ipswich itself at the Amberley base, or just towards the west rather, at the Amberley base. So Ipswich likely copped 125 kilometre an hour winds, but it also means that for Brisbane, with a strengthening storm, we might be looking at gusts approaching 130, 140 kilometres an hour. And just looking at the radar imagery, that's not out of the question. And the amount of lightning coming through, the hailstones, 140 kilometres an hour wind gusts will cause bad damage. That will cause a lot of damage, and especially through a metro area. That sort of stuff can topple cranes. That can cause all sorts of havoc. So Brisbane, watch out. This is a mean supercell. It's packing a punch, and she is angry. Brisbane Airport, I imagine, is likely to be shut down very, very soon, if it hasn't been already. Now, if we've got a live camera in the Brisbane area, I can't pull one up externally for copyright reasons, but in terms of webcam footage, so this is 2 minutes ago, just ahead of this thunderstorm. Nothing too crazy is going on here by the looks of things, but it looks like it is about to get pretty hairy in a few of these places. Ominous, ominous scenes through Southeast Queensland. Now, I've got unconfirmed reports now in the chat of a tornado. I think we might be confusing that with a microburst. As I said, a microburst has very, very likely occurred with this severe thunderstorm. Again, tornado possible. There are always going to be a chance today, and I would not be surprised if a tornado does end up being confirmed, but I will need to consult with some of my chasers on the ground and see if we do have a tornado that has moved through Brisbane. But I mean, just wow, this is seriously significant stuff moving into the Brisbane area right now. It's just 5 minutes away from absolutely bullying Brisbane, and I'll be watching these observations again like a hawk in the next couple of minutes. Yeah, this is really Brisbane. It is extremely bad. Yeah, this is really nasty stuff that's coming through right now. So much lightning activity. The Brisbane metro area now being dominated by this, and we're beginning to see this move up towards Strathpine and into the southern parts of the Samford Valley. So whilst the core of this thunderstorm has, as predicted, the core of the thunderstorm being here, moved north of the Brisbane River, it's developed in such a way that puts the absolute worst of this severe thunderstorm over the Brisbane CBD. Now, if you live within 10 minutes of the Brisbane CBD, act now. Get inside, get out of harm's way, be safe from this severe thunderstorm. Do not do anything rash and be what I call an armchair storm chaser. Sit down, relax, enjoy a cold beverage, and watch these thunderstorms unfold in an interior room of your house. That is a very important message. Get inside and get as far inside and away from windows as you possibly can. Put up some pillows and some towels between you and windows, particularly if they're likely to be smashed. I mean, 130, 140 kilometre an hour winds can blow out windows, no dramas. So that is something to be watching quite closely. And then further north of Brisbane as well. So all of these suburbs, which you can see here around Stafford, Everton Park, into the Samford Valley, Samford Village, Ferny Grove, Enagera, the Gallipoli Barracks are up there, I believe. And then up towards Strathpine, Brighton, Shorncliffe, Sandgate, Deagon, those sort of locations, just towards the north of the airport. You're also in the firing line for what looks to be a very significant severe thunderstorm. Redcliffe, eventually you'll be in the firing line as well. Caboolture, you're most likely going to miss this severe thunderstorm, but it is just going to pass just towards the south and uncomfortably close at that. And again, this is a developing situation as well, now moving in towards the Logan City area. You're about to be smashed by a severe thunderstorm as well, and I don't use the term smashed lightly. This is a very significant severe thunderstorm threat moving into the Logan City area, and there is likely to be some pretty significant impacts there as well. I can't look on the Brisbane weather live stream just for copyright laws, but yeah, I imagine that it is absolutely mental into the Brisbane city area. Absolutely crazy stuff is unfolding right now. I am very, very, very sure of that. But yeah, Logan City, hunker down. Redland City is next afterwards. Likely some pretty significant stuff moving into the Redland City as well, and that is also something to be very, very aware of. Posting from a field with metal on your head. I hope that means the car roof is over you. Otherwise, you're basically a lightning conductor out there, especially in a situation like this. But yeah, hunker down, get inside. This is not a time to be playing around outside with a severe thunderstorm situation and a severe thunderstorm threat as severe as this one here. Marburg radar is going to be rendered useless because it's just so far away and smashed by rain and hail most likely at this point in time. No update from BOM. That's not good with this thunderstorm moving into the CBD right now. I hope that they update it very soon, but the forecast has changed dramatically. I mean, it takes it right through Brisbane. I mean, as what they said, but some updates would be great. So we know what we're expecting, and we know what we're looking at into the Brisbane area. Because right now, there's still quite a few uncertainties. I mean, we could be looking at large hailstones or giant hailstones, but I'd really like to get an idea in terms of what wind speeds we're looking at. Golf ball hail at Kangaroo Point, I imagine that's a suburb just through here, and that does not surprise me one bit. Thank you so much for the generous tip as well, rugby league expert. I cannot say that I'm a rugby league expert. Lots of lightning now towards the north of Redland City, developing into the areas south of the Brisbane port, and then into the airport area as well. Lots of lightning beginning to develop in those areas too, and that'll be an area to watch as well. Massive, massive supercell. Yeah, there's a lot of reports of a tornado now. It wouldn't surprise me at this point in time. It really wouldn't surprise me if there was, just given what we're looking at. And also if we, again, no update on that radar, or on that detailed storm warning. It just would not surprise me at all, given that rotation couplet. I mean, man, that is difficult to argue that there is no tornado in here, and that is on a beeline for the Brisbane area. So this is just towards the north of Archerfield. Archerfield is buried within this hail core right here. This is Archerfield here. So just towards the north puts this tornado here. If there is a tornado, I'm saying this purely as an if there is, because again, I don't have any confirmed reports and I don't have any trusted reports right now, but moving over Maruka and then into Green Slopes and then eventually on just towards the south of Brisbane around Woolloongabba, very likely some significant winds at the very least, but also some very, very strong potential and strong indications that we may have a tornado on the ground, and that will present us with a risk of gusts up to 150 kilometers an hour or so, kind of in that ballpark. Those are what I call extremely destructive wind gusts. They cause all sorts of problems. They can really upend suburbs. They can cause devastation. These thunderstorms very, very likely to do exactly that. Toowoomba copping it again. Just out here, it looks like they're about to get absolutely smashed by another thunderstorm again. So much lightning. I just cannot believe how much lightning is unfolding across Southeast Queensland right now, particularly into the Brisbane CBD. But yeah, Brisbane's going to get a direct hit from this. Flights are being diverted into Brisbane. Oh yeah, for sure. With an event like this, they would be getting diverted if they're in the air down to either the Gold Coast or Coolangatta, or they're being cancelled altogether, because this is just really, really nasty stuff. And the runway will be covered in hail by the time this storm is done anyway as well. Worst of it just through the Logan area. Well, the worst of it in terms of the cell that's going through Logan right now came through the Logan area, but the worst this thunderstorm complex is moving into the Brisbane area. And Brisbane is going to cop a direct hit from this severe thunderstorm as well. They are going to cop a direct smashing from this thunderstorm. Oh, wow. Yeah, if we are seeing, if there is a tornado on the ground and it goes into the Brisbane CBD, That is crazy, crazy stuff. Ordering Uber Eats right now, you would not get that delivered. It'll be stupidly delayed or cancelled altogether, just given the circumstances. This is a nasty, nasty storm, but I get the humour there, and I also appreciate the generous donation as well. Yeah, this is not happy Jan, for sure. That is really, really applicable in this time. There we go, finally an update, and they've dropped the very dangerous tag. 96 km/h gust at Archfield Airport, 94 at Amberley, 4 centimetre hail at Ipswich, and all of those locations didn't cop the worst impacted part of the storm. And they've dropped the very dangerous tag. That is leaving me scratching my head. I mean, obviously it's not an apocalypse, and it's not like Brisbane's going to be bulldozed and we're going to wake up to just the steaming ruins of Brisbane tomorrow, but this is a very dangerous severe thunderstorm. Just the lightning alone is extremely dangerous. The amount of rainfall that this is dropping, the hailstones 4 or 5 centimetres in size, but the winds up around that 125 km/h mark at least, considering 95 kilometres is the highest recorded outside of the strongest part of this storm, and I can pretty much guarantee that. That's very, very interesting, and I did not expect that. Golf ball hail in CBD. If we can get confirmation of the golf ball hail in the CBD, then that obviously makes this a very dangerous severe thunderstorm. Oh, man. I did not expect that very dangerous tag to be dropped from this thunderstorm. It's an extremely serious thunderstorm. It's packing a mean punch. And again, just from a lightning standpoint, this thunderstorm is serious. I second that. Consider hitting the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you so much for all the support recently as well. It has been really massively appreciated. So 3 centimetre hail in East Brisbane. I can believe that. That would go without saying. 3 centimetre hailstones very likely occurring in that. I mean, of course, Southeast Queensland is no stranger to 3 centimetre hailstones, but that still packs a punch. It still packs a significant impact. So 3 centimetre hailstones, hunker down, stay inside, wait for this storm to pass. I'm pretty confident in saying all clear now for Ipswich. There is another thunderstorm now moving towards the north of Marburg, which will go over the Wivenhoe Dam and out towards Wivenhoe Outlook, Mount Nebo and the Diagla National Park, but this is not a strong thunderstorm. So all clear for Ipswich. Hopefully we get a couple of our Ipswich viewers returning soon, but power very likely out all through Ipswich. Stay safe, stay 8 metres away from fallen power lines, and contact the power services. They will help you out. This is... I feel like I can't overstate enough just how crazy this is. So this is it here at McGregor. Very intense precipitation. It's great to see no one's on the road, and everybody is heeding these severe thunderstorm warnings as they normally do in Queensland. That's very good to see. Wow. So much going on. It's a shame we don't have a live webcam on this site here, which I know I can use in the Brisbane CBD or in one of the buildings in the Brisbane CBD. That would be extremely helpful in a situation like this. Hopefully someone can make it happen. Watching from Redcliffe, you're going to be on the northern end of this thunderstorm. You will likely see some strong wind gusts and plenty of lightning. You'll definitely hear the lightning, that's for sure. But Redcliffe should miss the worst of this storm. Same with Strathpine, but locations just south of the Pine River. I believe the Pine River runs through here as well. Now, this is the South Pine River, but for locations south of the South Pine River, big thunderstorm potential, serious wind gusts, that sort of stuff. Yeah, wow. Samford Valley. I mean, you're probably out of the woods now for the Samford Valley. Strong winds for sure, but yeah, I would say for the Samford Valley now, yeah, you guys are definitely out of the woods, and you can see that these thunderstorm warnings are now beginning to contract further towards the east. The threat is now easing off from the west, and we're going to see the threat begin to minimize pretty soon. Hopefully in the next short while it begins to reduce a little bit for the Brisbane area. Now, don't be fooled by looking at these thunderstorms and thinking, oh, they're weakening because the reflectivity is not coming through as strong anymore. It's because we've got some serious rainfall now occurring over the radar, and that is inhibiting the stronger signals from being picked up by the radar site over the Brisbane CBD, but still some very strong Doppler readings right now, and that is, yeah, that's giving us a good show, that's for sure, in these areas. Caboolture and the Glasshouse Mountains, rainfall tonight, and I believe there's definitely a severe thunderstorm warning present for the Caboolture area and the Glasshouse Mountains, and there is a severe thunderstorm now moving over the Kingaroy area as well, a little bit further north. But again, Glasshouse Mountains, Caboolture, likely to dodge the worst. In fact, it looks like they're going to thread the needle and kind of miss the worst of these thunderstorms here. The axis turned out to be correct once again, calling for strong thunderstorms into the Brisbane and the Logan area. Now, my forecast always took these thunderstorms a little bit further north of the Brisbane CBD, and the core of these cells has done exactly that. The core of this cell has moved north of the Brisbane River as forecast, only just north, but they've all been southern dominant. So these thunderstorms have all been on the southern side. A lot of precipitation, a lot of rainfall on the southern side, and that's why we have seen such significant impacts on the southern side of these thunderstorms as opposed to on the northern side, like I did initially predict. Yeah. Pretty good, that's for sure. Extremely strong precipitation in the Brisbane CBD. Yep, and it's only going to get worse in the next minute or two before easing off. We've got some pretty good precipitation rates on the backside of this thunderstorm here. And again, just a very defined hook echo. This is a powerful supercell thunderstorm, and it wouldn't surprise me. It really, and it pains me to say this, it wouldn't surprise me if a tornado was present in some way. It just, yeah, this screams. Yeah. It's quite a strong one. It is quite a strong one. Just bear with me. So this thunderstorm here, extremely powerful, extremely dangerous, extremely life-threatening, and posing a very significant risk to lives and homes in its path. Peter Thompson, very generous, joining the channel sponsorship program. And if you do want to get no mention at every video at the end, then please do consider clicking that join button as well. It really does go a long way to supporting the CyclonesOZ channel. So I want to thank everybody that is a channel sponsor as well. Yeah, this is a hook echo. So what a hook echo is, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It looks like a fishing hook here. In fact, it looks like a J on its side. And a hook echo indicates strong rotation. It's very common in supercell thunderstorms, and it highlights how strong this thunderstorm is. It's a rotating thunderstorm. It's a rotating severe thunderstorm. So much lightning within it. I mean, I just cannot believe how much lightning we've seen through Brisbane. At least 15,000 strikes already, and probably closer to 30 or 40,000 strike kind of amount with this severe thunderstorm so far. It's just ridiculous stuff, the amount of lightning that's came through. But yeah, hook echoes are indicative of extremely strong and extremely powerful severe thunderstorms, and that's what we're seeing moving over the Brisbane area right now. Brisbane CBD, not just the Brisbane area, of all places. The Central Business District is the one that's copping the absolute hiding from this severe thunderstorm. It looks like it is now finally about to start weakening and finally about to get on its way out. Fingers crossed, because it has been a marathon. But yeah, again, a lot of embedded rotation, a lot of embedded swirls and curls in the Doppler radar on here. Yeah, it's crazy. Awesome footage as soon as you can load it. I don't think there's much more for Ipswich, to be honest, but yeah, if you can send it through that footage, then please consider doing so over on the Facebook page as well. My email linked in the channel description. If you've got any photos or videos, send it through to my email, and I'll feature them on my public pages, because, man, this is just crazy stuff. This sort of stuff doesn't happen every day. It doesn't even happen every year. So thank you so much for that very generous tip as well, Helen Fire. Much appreciated. But yeah, lots of rotation. You can see the contrast of colours in here. Lots of embedded swirls in here. Lots of embedded supercell activity. Likely 2 supercell thunderstorms just fused together, moving through together right now. And just this lightning, absolutely relentless. Beginning to ease off a little bit now, though. Thankfully. But yeah, for Ipswich, the next thunderstorm is going to pass towards the north, and I would just like to say for the Ipswich area, there is a bit of rainfall coming through in the next 15 minutes. We may see some small hail and some strong wind gusts in Ipswich, but I'm comfortable in giving the all clear by around 5:15 in the Ipswich area, local time. Just crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. 14 millimeters in 10 minutes for the Brisbane CBD, and very much quickly counting as well. 65 km/h wind gusts. If we don't see stronger wind gusts than that, I would honestly be surprised. This for the Brisbane area here. I believe it is right in the Brisbane CBD as well, so wind observations can be a little bit funny in CBD areas, but it'll be very good to see how strong these winds have gotten. You can see now just towards the north of Redland City and up towards Manly, they are getting absolutely whacked right now, and that contrasts my forecast earlier from today. I didn't expect these locations to be whacked in the way that they are getting whacked right now. So Manly, yeah, wow, they're really getting going in that Manly area towards the north of Redland City. Looks like Redland City is going to dodge it as well. Yeah, as mentioned, email in the channel description. So on the homepage of the YouTube channel, over in the description. "60 to 65 kilometers an hour. Well, that is actually in line with what the observations have said at 65 kilometers an hour through here. That would be good news, that's for sure. But I definitely reckon locations that are a little bit more exposed, particularly just to the south of Brisbane as well, around Wollongabba, and then towards the immediate north, around Ascot, these sort of places here, very likely to have seen those gusts well in excess of 120 kilometers an hour. Those very strong wind gusts associated with this powerful supercell thunderstorm. But it also looks like this thunderstorm has just kind of collapsed on itself as it moves over the Brisbane area. It's had a bad interaction by the looks of things with the mountains towards the northwest of Brisbane, and it's really kind of shredded itself apart in the last 10 minutes. It's on its way out, still lots of lightning, but it is substantially weaker than where it was just a few moments ago. Yeah. Oh, so there is a news article of a tornado. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I'm going to see if I can pull up some information to that as well. So I've got a gustnado. That's an official report. Yeah, so a mini tornado over the Brisbane River. And then I'm going to really zoom in on that thumbnail here and show you what I'm talking about from this. So this is what we're calling the tornado. Obviously a very weak one, nothing too significant. And that's from 10 News. So that's pretty significant. That's a pretty significant observation if we have seen a tornado. But we've also seen that gustnado go over the Brisbane River, and that's just a bit of strong wind, rotating strong wind. Nothing serious at all. Strongest gusts maybe at around that 100 kilometre an hour mark. So I don't think we've had serious tornado activity. And just having a look at the news confirmation so far, that kind of backs me up there. I don't think we've seen a proper tornado, just some of that willy-willy type stuff that you see pretty frequently with supercells like this. It is hard to get a tornado going in Southeast Queensland. Anywhere in Australia, it's difficult. So I wouldn't be surprised if we haven't seen one tonight. But the good news is it really looks like this storm is now beginning to move over into the Moreton Bay area, and it's only going to be a matter of minutes until this thunderstorm really does begin to collapse in on itself and will be on its way out. I mean, the majority of the lightning activity now moving south of Mud Island and then out towards Amity Point on the northern tip of North Stradbroke Island, and then we're going to be shifting focus to thunderstorms a little bit further north around Kingaroy and this squall line that's really developing through this part of Queensland. Noosa could get sketchy for sure. These thunderstorms will be on a collision course with Noosa, and they are upscaling very, very quickly. So Noosa, it could get quite hairy. I'll get to the Sunshine Coast in just a few moments. I just want to get this thunderstorm out of the Brisbane area before I start shifting focus, because it still is a dangerous thunderstorm to the Brisbane area. Ten car crashes around Brisbane. That's just the nature of these thunderstorms. Slippery roads, hail, all the sort of stuff that you don't want to see in thunderstorms like this. That causes car accidents, unfortunately, and it doesn't surprise me. Unfortunately. Yeah, lots and lots of rainfall still now moving into the Manly area just towards the north of Redland City. Yeah, just south of the harbour. Lots of thunder, lots of lightning. And that rainfall is now beginning to pick up in those locations as well. Some pretty significant rainfall accumulations as well. I very much expect some significant and some serious rainfall accumulations from these storms. We haven't got an update yet in the Brisbane CBD, but I mean, these storms, Greenbank copped 26 millimetres in the better part of 15-20 minutes, and some pretty strong wind gusts as well. And a lot of other locations look like they've had some pretty serious rainfall accumulations as well. 17 mil at Archerfield. And I imagine there's been a lot of personal weather stations that have copped some pretty serious wind gusts and some pretty serious rainfall accumulations. Now really picking up at the Brisbane airport too. Gusts there, we've got 54 kilometre an hour sustained winds. So we're probably looking at gusts getting close to 80 kilometres an hour there. And the Brisbane CBD sustained winds, 30 kilometres an hour. Gusts probably touching on about 70 or so. Nothing too crazy into the CBD. It looks like it kind of broke apart before it got to the CBD, which is good. And then this is at Inner Beacon, just to the north of Mud Island. Those winds are now picking up there, 50 kilometres an hour, gusting 59. Gold Coast missed it in the end. We thought that it would, and it has completely dodged the Gold Coast. It clipped Sanctuary Cove and Coomera, but it has dodged the Gold Coast, and it's pretty much just impacted the Brisbane Metro and her southern suburbs. In fact, it looks like the thunderstorm just behind is developing up as well. And there's some strong winds in that one too, so we might be looking once again in the next 20 minutes or so another, not so much a crazy severe thunderstorm, but we also might be looking at some strong wind gusts once again moving into the Brisbane CBD in the next 20 minutes-ish. And you can see it now cleared out from Brisbane CBD, moving over Moreton Bay, Logan City, Redland City, currently copping this thunderstorm, Cleveland as well. And then on towards North Stradbroke Island, which is being impacted. 5 centimetre hailstones in the southern suburbs of Brisbane. That is our confirmation that this was a very dangerous severe thunderstorm as it moved over Brisbane. The warning did not pick that up. I thought that would be the case, but 5 centimetre hailstones, giant hailstones, extremely dangerous and likely a lot of damage, particularly to cars and also to tin roofs down in this part of Queensland, just towards the south of Brisbane. They are some big, big, big stones, big rocks of ice coming from the sky. Yep, Logan City wind gusts of 80, out expected. The one that went through the Logan City area wasn't that crazy. Definitely not dangerous, that's for sure. But the Brisbane one, that was a storm. That was an impressive storm. And it looks like we're going to be doing this again next week. It's a stormy picture as we head out towards next week as well. So we might be looking at a lot more thunderstorms through a wide swathe of southeast Queensland. And that will also include the Brisbane area as well as we get out towards next week too. So we'll be keeping close tabs on that. Sunshine Coast, Yandina might get a storm after all. Yeah, it really does depend. I mean, the southern parts of the Sunshine Coast likely to get thunderstorms. Right up towards Noosa is where thunderstorms are the most likely. And then a bit further north up towards Rainbow Beach, Maryborough, and then up towards Harvey Bay. A little bit less likely, but still thunderstorms very much are a chance of occurring in those locations. But yeah, definitely a good chance of thunderstorms pretty much all around through the Sunshine Coast. Just not as not of the magnitude that we've seen through the Brisbane area and these locations in the last, well, not long, because these thunderstorms have been nasty. And thank you so much for their generous tip as well, Peter. That is massively appreciated. But yeah, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing and leave a like on the video while you're at it. Support has been massively appreciated. But yeah, and if you're in the position to do so, consider sending through a super chat. Keep the lights on here. 49,000 homes without power. That is a massive, massive number. 49,000 homes. That's probably close to 150 or 200,000 customers or people without power right now. We're about 5% of the Brisbane population. Really, really significant. Massive, massive power cut. That's going to take a while to come back on. Now, in terms of Brisbane, not Brisbane, the Gold Coast, storm chances there. Done and dusted. Not going to see a storm as we did expect. Nothing crazy was going to happen down into that part of Southeast Queensland. Gold Coast now very, very unlikely to see thunderstorm activity. And I don't think they're going to see severe thunderstorm activity either. So good news down there. Very, very nice. Likes the Falcon. I've got to say I'm a Falcon man. And that is beside the agenda of this live coverage here through Southeast Queensland. Thunderstorm now moving off into the Moreton Bay area. Still impressive amounts of lightning. I would have to say at least 40 or 50,000 strikes through Southeast Queensland. Just crazy, crazy numbers through Southeast Queensland lightning-wise. I mean, if we were to pull this back to about 4:30, it was like popcorn. It was the amount of lightning going off. It was like putting popcorn in the microwave, the amount of lightning that went through across Southeast Queensland. Just absolutely insane stuff, mental stuff, lots and lots of lightning, as we did expect with this sort of outbreak. Now it's starting to weaken off. There's still a lot more lightning than you would normally expect from a storm, but there is a decrease in this storm's intensity, and again now as it pulls away from Brisbane and into the northeastern suburbs around the airport and the harbour, conditions beginning to ease off. Severe impact, but not a crazy impact around the Manly area. Precipitation rates never got that extreme. Lots of lightning though, and potentially some strong wind gusts, but again, it didn't look anything too crazy in those locations, which is good news. And now moving over towards North Stradbroke Island and the southern parts of Moreton Island. May even get as far north as Tangalooma, but it also doesn't look like anything too crazy is going to occur up there. Definitely some strong wind gusts as mentioned. In terms of the latest update, severe thunderstorms moving into the Sunshine Coast now. Noosa in the next hour, most likely. But again, the main stuff was right through Brisbane. Brisbane copped a hiding. And yeah, 65 kilometre an hour gusts is all that it got to in Brisbane though. Honestly, I thought that they'd get substantially stronger than that. And then at the airport, we've had 65 kilometre an hour gusts pretty much sustained for the last 10-15 minutes or so. And rainfall looks to be building there as well. Building quite quickly and quite substantially. Golf ball sized hail, yeah, widespread golf ball sized hail, and again, not nice in Ipswich, that's for sure. Honestly, it looks like round 2 is about to enter into the Brisbane CBD. This line here, this is a cluster of thunderstorms. Not likely it's a severe thunderstorm. It still definitely packs a punch, but it is substantially weaker than the main event. But still some small hailstones likely to occur. Large hailstones are a possibility, up to 4 or even 4.5 centimetres in size. And some damaging wind gusts to about 100 kilometres an hour are also a possibility. You could think of it as round 2, but it's not likely to be anywhere near as strong. Still, it will pack a punch, but it's not going to pack a crazy one right now. 35 millimetres in 20 minutes and 5 centimetre hail. Yeah, Ipswich was pretty hectic. Can you plug the router back in? Whereabouts are you? Will depend on the answer to that question. Yeah, it was a scary, scary storm. Rain for about 12 minutes. Yeah, about that 10 to 15 minute mark is the duration of these thunderstorms so far. Window smashed in Annerley. Lots and lots of windows being smashed. Seen a lot of reports. 13-degree temperature drop in 10 minutes. That's substantial. That is really, really substantial. That's a big, 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 big temperature drop in a very short amount of time. Can you put in the chat how to get back to the old bomb website? I can. I'll help you out over on the Facebook page, but it is reg.bom.gov.au, reg.bom.gov.au. That's how you get back. Bookmark it. It's the best way that we can protest against whatever the new website is. Oh no, round 2 coming in for the Brisbane CBD. Lots of lightning developing once again. Cloud to ground lightning by the looks of things developing into the Brisbane CBD again. And it looks like they're going to get a brief period of round 2. Some heavy rainfall moving through. Likely not hail, but you can see some rather intense precipitation right up the end of that heavy scale into the Samford Valley and then into the Brisbane area. We will also see some strong wind gusts in that as well. Yeah, it's still moving through Ipswich. They need to begin assessing what's gone on and kind of the cleanup, I guess, to a degree, but that's not going to happen for the next 10 minutes or so into the Ipswich area. Logan, second round, it will clip Logan. In fact, it's likely to move through Logan, but in terms of an equivalent storm impact, not likely to be as strong, and even the first one wasn't that strong as well. Yeah, the big temperature drop is because we've got that rainfall coming through on Tuesday. Some much needed rainfall through Southeast Queensland and some widespread rainfall as well, so that's why we've got that massive temperature drop. 40mm hail at Brassel, so that's 4 centimetres. Yep. Good. Yeah, I think the airport's going to start to reopen pretty soon. The threat is now beginning to ease off for the airport area. There is still some rainfall around and some lightning, but if this round 2 does come through in the next 10 minutes, we also may see the airport held off again. North Brisbane getting hammered. Yeah, North Brisbane, I presume you mean the Samford Valley. They're still getting some heavy rainfall out in those locations. Northeast New South Wales, no storms down there. Golf ball sized hail in Wynnum. Oh, so we did have hail down here around the Manly area towards the north of Redland City. Yeah, okay. I don't think it was large golf ball sized. It couldn't have been large golf ball sized considering the reflectivities that came through. I would definitely say pea-sized hail and maybe even 5-cent coin-sized hailstones, 2 to 3 centimetres into the YM area, but I don't think it was anything too crazy just considering those reflectivities. But do we have any more reports? That would be very helpful indeed. Thank you very much for all of the kind words in the chat, all of the new subscribers as well, and everybody that has kindly left a like on the stream, and also all of the donators and new channel sponsors that we have. The support is massively, massively appreciated. And I think this storm is now beginning to upscale into a squall line. Wind gusts are still very strong, and there is a solid rotation couplet now offshore into the Moreton Bay area that's going to clip the southern side of Moreton Island. That may be throwing out a waterspout. Waterspouts are a lot more commonplace than tornadoes, especially where I'm from over in Perth. We see waterspouts frequently. But into the Brisbane CBD area, it looks like these winds are now beginning to drop off. And it doesn't look like that next front either is as gusty as that initial storm, nowhere near, in fact. Winds are probably around that 60, 70 kilometre an hour mark, even 80. But yeah, it's not as crazy as that initial storm front that came through. 5-centimetre hail at Toowund around 25 minutes ago, yep. Lots of reports around that 4 to 5 centimetre mark further inland, and then 2 to 3 centimetres closer to the coastline. Logan City as well around that 3 centimetre mark, so lots and lots of reports of hail. Looks like the heavy stuff is about to move in to the northwestern side of Brisbane, around the Wivenhoe Outlook and the Samford Valley area, and also into parts of the western edge of Brisbane. We're going to see this, I guess you could call it round 2 of thunderstorms moving through. But again, nowhere near as strong. They're not even comparable right now. Always so many storms in Southeast Queensland. Humid conditions, combination of warm temperatures, dry air, moist air, convective available potential energy. It's just a perfect eclectic mix. It's like the bottom of your sink where all the water collects and all the dust and debris collects. That's the energy for the storms. Is a terrible analogy. I apologize for that, but that is why we see so many storms, because the conditions are just frequently so conducive to severe thunderstorm activity through southeast Queensland. Just always on call for thunderstorms down there. Big thunder at Nunda. That's rhymes. Please do consider subscribing and click the join button as well. And your name will be mentioned at the end of every forecast update. The best storms in Brisbane for sure. Looks like this round 2, I'm going to keep calling it round 2 just for simplicity's sake, is now beginning to cross into the immediate western suburbs around Mancouthar towards the west of Brisbane. In fact, it's probably moving into the Brisbane area now. It's just going to be a brief period of heavy rainfall and maybe a strong wind gust or two. Like I said, nowhere near as strong as this thunderstorm that's moving over in towards the Moreton Bay area right now. That one was a whopper. That was an absolute whopper. This one's a fizzer. I wish I didn't have to read any of those comments today, but I would love a reason as to why this storm can be considered a fizzer with 5 centimetre hail, 125 km/h winds, smashed up Ipswich, very weak and brief tornado reported apparently, unconfirmed, and lots of much needed rainfall. I don't think that if this is a fizzer, I don't know what is a proper thunderstorm. Crazy. Big stuff, and thank you again to everybody that has tuned in to this stream, watching from wherever you are around Australia. Yeah, hardly a fizzer. That's what I want to get behind. Is this is not a fizzer. If this is a fizzer, then we've got some interesting definitions for thunderstorms. Whereabouts are you, out of curiosity, for the getting nothing? I mean, if you're on the Gold Coast, yeah, but it was never going to be a thunderstorm event down on the Gold Coast or Coomera or Sanctuary Curve, or for that matter, or even inland out towards Beaudesert and Boona. It was never going to be a big thunderstorm event. So, yeah, it still matches the forecast. Albany Creek, whereabouts is that? I'm not a Southeast Queensland native, unfortunately. Lots of reports of this thunderstorm moving into the Brisbane CBD, carrying some strong wind gusts. So if we can have a look again at the Doppler wind, and again this is an estimate of those wind gusts within the precipitation, it doesn't really look like it's carrying that much in the way of wind speeds. There will be some gusts in it around that 50, 60, 70 km/h mark, but the strongest winds look to be now moving offshore, and it really doesn't look like they're packing too much of a punch either anymore. Still some gusts in these rain showers moving through behind, but like I said, not too much going on. Nothing in the Gold Coast. Yeah, there was absolutely squat on the Gold Coast, as we expected. Redcliffe. Are we getting reports of storms up in Redcliffe? Yeah, there is a bit of a cell now beginning to get its act together, moving into the Redcliffe area. And this is part of that kind of round 2 thunderstorm moving over Lake Sampsonvale and then into the North Lakes and then across towards Redcliffe. Lots of lightning here. I'd be surprised if this one gets a severe tag. Let me just check to see if it hasn't got a severe tag already. No, it hasn't. But it is possible. There's definitely some gusty winds in here, 90 kilometers an hour or so. But yeah, we could be talking about... Oh, so up in the Samford Valley area. Yeah, you threaded the needle between these thunderstorms. You've threaded the needle between this one that's moved through the Brisbane area and this one that's now moving into the Redcliffe area. So yes, it was a fizzy banger for you guys, but man, if you were 5 minutes further north or 5 minutes further south, it would have been a completely different story. Very much threaded the needle. We expected the storms to go through the Samford Valley just because that's what the forecast models were saying. But in the end, with that slightly easterly shift in the wind shear, that's pushed these thunderstorms further south down to Brisbane just by a fraction of a degree. But that change in bearing puts these thunderstorms right into the Brisbane CBD. And that's why Brisbane has been clobbered this afternoon, as opposed to the initial expectation was that these thunderstorms weren't going into the Brisbane area. So I hope that answers the question, and I hope that makes sense as to why these thunderstorms haven't lived up to what the forecast was suggesting into the Samford Valley area. And I appreciate the comment as well. Last bad storm that you had was the Gap, yeah. That would be a big storm to top, that's for sure. Lots of reports of heavy rainfall now in the Redcliffe area, and that will continue to build. Right now, I imagine it's just sporadic drops of rainfall right now. But yeah, south of Caboolture should dodge this thunderstorm. We might see some rainfall develop into the Caboolture area in the next few minutes or so. It looks like the cell is actually maturing over the top of Caboolture, so that would be one to watch. But for the Redcliffe area, it looks like these thunderstorms are going to be their strongest there. And now moving into the Brisbane CBD, that second line, damaging winds possible, but I don't think there's anything too crazy or too significant moving through. And like I said, these thunderstorms have upscaled very, very quickly. And you can see the ones further north are now making up proper big squall lines, lots of lightning, lots of rainfall. And we're looking at this being a wide swathe of 10 to 30 millimetres of rainfall incoming, and in a few spots 50 millimetres or so. And it's now beginning to happen down in towards southeast Queensland. A lot of rainfall under what is one very big thundercloud. That's one thing that we actually haven't looked at today, is just how tall these thunderstorms are. We'll need to reload the page for this, I imagine. But yeah, wow, that was an intense cell. So this is a look at cloud top temperatures, minus 78 degrees Celsius. That indicates that this thunderstorm would have been at least 10 to 12 kilometers tall, probably even taller than that. And this stuff, I mean, those sort of numbers I only see in the tropics. Southeast Queensland, that's really, really rare to see. And it was actually a little bit more intense than that as well as it moved over the Brisbane area, as this thunderstorm really did get its act together. So yeah, really, really tall cloud tops, stuff that we frequently see in the tropics, but yeah, now it's beginning to get sheared away, and it looks like this is a thunderstorm on its way out. Ice in Ipswich, I think it's bumped up from hail to ice. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that second round is pushing through quite fast, and it is intensifying. Be interesting to see if Caboolture sees severe thunderstorm activity. No update just yet. I don't think Bomb will be in any rush to update this because it is now a diminishing threat for the Brisbane CBD, but it is still something to watch. 50 direct lightning strikes in Oxford. I mean, I believe that because look at how fast this screen is flashing right now on 2 house fires. Yeah, that's crazy. Have I studied meteorology or earth science? No, this is just a hobby. This is something that I've been doing for the last 8 years or so. Or this page I've only been doing for about 18 months, but I've always had an interest for weather, and ever since I was 10, I've been looking at the forecast models and whatnot for boating and fishing, and I decided one day to start a YouTube channel on it, so that's how this has came to be. Supercell's developing inland from Mackay. We'll get to North Queensland in just a bit, but we definitely do have some strong thunderstorms up there, and again, as we get out towards the middle parts of this week, big thunderstorm potential up there too. Glasshouse Mountains in the firing line as well, likely to just be clipped by thunderstorms, but we could still see some strong ones in there. Caboolture South, heavy rainfall right now, and I imagine that is just beginning to pick up. It's south of Caboolture here, down around Deception Bay and Narangba. These thunderstorms are really beginning to pick up. Yeah. Short, sweet, and loud. Yep, that has been these thunderstorms. They were not slow moving, but they were strong. Again, thank you so much to all of the support and the kind messages coming through in the chat right now. It is heartwarming to see. And if you haven't already, of course, please do consider subscribing. Massively appreciated. Daniel Shaw's New South Wales based. I wouldn't be surprised if he was up here though. He travels, and with a setup like this for the last couple of days, I wouldn't be surprised if he was, and if he's not, he's missed out big time. But there are a lot of chasers on the ground. Southeast Storm Chasers, Southeast Storm Media rather, is a great one. Gurkey's Storm Chasing, another great one. And I believe Brisbane Storm Chasers are also on the ground with this thunderstorm. Lots and lots of independent chasers as well. So yeah, lots and lots of stuff. Yeah, it's going to be hot and humid tomorrow in Brisbane, 37 degrees. Yeah, definitely a lot of storms on the forecast throughout the next couple of days through southeast Queensland. None on the forecast tomorrow. It's just going to be a really hot day, hot and dry by the looks of things. But as we get out towards Tuesday, rainfall, Wednesday, a couple of showers, but then out towards Friday, Halloween, the chance of thunderstorms does pop up again, but particularly into the first week of November, another thunderstorm outbreak through southeast Queensland is on the cards. It's still pretty hit and miss for the Brisbane and Gold Coast area, but we still are looking at thunderstorms, particularly on the 1st of November. So time to watch for those locations. I really appreciate those kind words as well, Ilo. Daniel Shaw is last in South Australia. I'm not surprised he was, actually. Those South Australia storms were nuts. So he's definitely not here, because that is too much of a drive in too short of a time. Just started pelting down in Redcliffe, crack of thunder and lightning rolling in. Yeah, that second line of storms has just rocketed through Redcliffe, and it's a short but sweet impact. These thunderstorms are packing a punch, but they are short and sweet. They're coming through thick and fast. Heavy rainfall, locally damaging winds, small hailstones, lots of lightning, but they will be very, very quick. Again, thank you so much to everybody that has reached out through the email. I'm getting a couple of notifications a minute, so there's going to be a lot of footage for me to sift through. Update on Toowoomba. Thunderstorm risk now very much minimising out there. No thunderstorms forecast throughout the remainder of today. And that goes for Southeast Queensland as well. Brisbane, you're now behind these thunderstorms. Ipswich as well. I'm going to give you the all clear in about 5 minutes time. 3:30 looks to be the time for Ipswich to be really in the clear of these thunderstorms. Brisbane as well, likely getting into the clear now. Logan City, you've got one more front coming through, but after that, it looks like you will also be in the clear. So these thunderstorms now on the way out. They're minimising and they are weakening at this point in time. I'll get to the Sunshine Coast in just a sec. 4:49 Brisbane had 5 centimetre hailstones. Yeah, that was just towards the south of Brisbane. We still don't have a severe thunderstorm warning update, which is a shame. Yeah. And then looking at the radar imagery, Brisbane now at 28 millimetres of rainfall. So that second line of storms had a lot of rainfall embedded within them. That's great news because it is heavy stuff that's came through. So flash flooding is of course a risk, but for the most part it looks like this rainfall that's been brought through is just going to be nice rainfall that's just going to go to those very parched locations. So this is very, very good to see. That second line of storms, we needed that, that's for sure. And there's nothing in the way of significant rotation couplets apart from one in the Moreton Bay area right now that's moving into the south central parts of Moreton Island. It's actually just up here. Again, very, very remote part of Moreton Island. There's not a whole lot of stuff on Moreton Island as it is. So that's not really a threat. And if it is throwing up something that's spinning, it's very likely to be just a water spout, a weak water spout. And even then, the chances of that aren't especially high. Brisbane Airport copping more lightning right now. I would be surprised if the airport was still open. There's definitely some significant action ongoing through there. Yeah, needed the rain. So many people needed the rain. So this is just so good to see. I'm so happy that this rainfall has poured through and we've seen so much of it move through. It really is great to see. Couldn't be happier. Wow. Yeah, I'm looking to get a couple of live storm chasers in future streams. This one, again, a little bit rushed, and I need to properly set up some kind of streaming interface before I start doing that. But definitely in the future, we'll be looking at some live storm chasers on the channel. Great time to subscribe is now, by the way. Getting in on the ground level ahead of the big months of storm season, November, December, and January through Southeast Queensland. Lots of rainfall coming through, that's for sure. I mean, this is just a look at 10-day rainfall accumulations. Big numbers on the cards across Southeast Queensland. 150 millimetres. It's been a while since we've seen numbers like this. And this isn't 300 or 400 millimetres where it's going to cause all sorts of flooding problems. It's a nice 150 millimetres of generous rainfall over a prolonged period of time. Love to see it. It's over a nice wide spread as well. And between other forecast models, there's some high certainty that we're going to be seeing similar rainfall accumulations, particularly into the first week of November. So keep an eye on this place. Lots and lots of weather to come, lots and lots of rainfall to come. These thunderstorms now finally beginning to slide on out. Jake Paul, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Massively appreciated. Worse than last weekend? Oh, for sure. The thunderstorm itself wasn't as crazy or as strong as last weekend's severe thunderstorm or supercell thunderstorm, but it was more widespread, more expansive. So the thunderstorm threat through southeast Queensland was worse than what we had last weekend. And I think we can say that without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, wow. And still lots of lightning moving through as well, through southeast Queensland. Or through the Brisbane area. But again, it looks like for Brisbane, worst is over. Round 2 now for Manly. I mean, that is an area that I did not expect to be absolutely blasted. And they are, again, being taken to town in the Manly area. And once again, they're going for a ride there in the next couple of minutes with rainfall before that finally begins to ease off. And yeah, Redcliffe as well, copping a bit of a hiding from this thunderstorm. Winds aren't especially strong, but there is a lot of rainfall moving through into the Redcliffe area, and likely some pretty healthy accumulations in a very short period of time into the Redcliffe area as well. So that is also really good to see, because this thunderstorm here, the second thunderstorm that's coming through, is more rain-based. It's not serious, severe thunderstorm. It's just more sort of rain-based. So very, very nice to see come through. Love to see it. And thank you so much, Mel, for becoming a channel sponsor as well. Big appreciation. Whew. Lots have happened across southeast Queensland today. 40 millimetres in Manly. That doesn't surprise me, and I reckon you've got another 10 millimetres on the card, so that is also really, really healthy rainfall. These thunderstorms, they brought some heavy rainfall. We knew they'd be rainfall based, and they sure have lived up to it. Super, super happy to see this. If my eyes weren't fried from looking at a computer for the last 3 days, I would be smiling, grinning ear to ear. But yeah, this is great rainfall that's came through, and now it is just whatever we can get on the rainfall side of things now is just fantastic. It is more rainfall would be fantastic from where we are right now. So very, very happy to see it. Very, very healthy stuff coming through. And then back to this version of the imagery, finally beginning to leave the Brisbane area as mentioned. I imagine it's not going to be long now until it finally gets itself out of the Redcliffe area and through this part of the, or Caboolture as well. It's still raining quite heavily around the Caboolture area. Yeah. Further north, it will be the Sunshine Coast's turn. Watch this space. I'll have a brief update on those once these thunderstorms pull out of the Brisbane area. Yeah, definitely for the Sunshine Coast, these thunderstorms are packing a punch. Yeah, thank you so much for all of the support as well on the live stream. Not wrapping it up anytime soon, but if you haven't already subscribed, leave a like, that sort of stuff. Massively appreciated. I don't do this for the numbers, I do it because I thoroughly enjoy it, but the fact that I can do it now pretty much full time means that the quality is only going to improve. The information is only going to improve. So again, massively appreciated to everybody that's watching right now, all of the donations and all of the likes and support as well. So still so much lightning that's firing up north of North Stradbroke Island here and out towards Amity Point. There's just so much lightning activity, and even now moving into the Moreton Bay offshore from Redcliffe, a lot of lightning now beginning to push into these regions as well. Less lightning, but still some relatively heavy rainfall a bit further south around the Manly area too. Looks like this rainfall is finally going to begin to move away, which would be good. Okay, now in Logan, yeah, conditions are going to begin to ease off into the Logan area. And I imagine that's just going to continue soon, or it's just going to continue to ease off. Deal for the Fraser Coast. Well, again, like I said, I'll get to that in just a sec, but squalls now beginning to build. Heavy rainfall likely to occur, strong winds, small hail is also a possibility, but nothing too crazy expected up on the Sunshine Coast. And especially considering these storms are now beginning to properly ease off a little bit. I mean, if we have a look at the convective forecast models, we are looking at these thunderstorms as they get closer to the coastline, contracting and weakening off. Bundaberg could still cop a hit, Harvey Bay could still cop a pretty good hit as well, and then locations between Rainbow Beach down to Caloundra are also likely to cop a hit, mainly because we've got some strong thunderstorm lines moving through there. So Caloundra in the next 20 minutes or so, Maroochydore in 25 minutes, Noosa in about 40 minutes, and then further north, Gympie in about 10 minutes, Gunnedah in about 15 minutes or so, Tyrone about 15 minutes, and then north towards Maryborough and Harvey Bay in about an hour and an hour and a half, respectively, up there. Gold Coast getting some good rain, not for a few days. Tuesday is giving a good prospect for rainfall between 20 to 50 millimetres, but it will be a while until the Gold Coast's almost drought-like conditions properly break down there. Should miss Beera. Does it mean if the sky's purple? Well, now that we're moving into twilight hours, it's likely just a trick with the light that's funneling through, but green skies mean large hailstones, or often giant hailstones. Black skies, just your heavy rainfall type stuff. But yeah, green is very ominous. Giant hailstones in green skies, and that's what we saw over in Ipswich earlier on. Gympie got dark with thunder and lightning. They're definitely going to cop it then. Definitely looks like Gympie is going to cop it. Same Cape on the Sunshine Coast at the moment, but nothing here northeast of New South Wales. What's the deal? Just where these thunderstorms have developed. The conditions down on the Sunshine Coast, it was just a bit too... not the Sunshine Coast, the Gold Coast were a lot drier. They were also a lot cooler through the day, and we had that cloud cover, and that's why the Gold Coast didn't pick up anything today. And in fact, for half an hour, it was actually looking like a bit of a bust for the Brisbane area too, but this has been far from a bust for Brisbane especially. Sunshine Coast could be spared hail. I think for the most part, the hail risk for the Sunshine Coast is very, very minimal. And there's still got the severe thunderstorm warning for hail, but apart from hail out of Tara, there hasn't actually been much in the way of hailstones reported today. The severe thunderstorm warning's just been dropped for the Brisbane area. So yeah, 5 centimetre hail for the Brisbane area, 4 centimetre near Ipswich, and we had 3 centimetres at Tara outside of Toowoomba and Dalby. But apart from that, I mean, we just have not had severe thunderstorms dropping large hailstones today further inland, and it just didn't get hot enough for those massive hailstones to occur. South Moreton Island waterspout, very likely. Just considering that hook echo that we had, yeah, very, very likely that they've seen a tornado, not a tornado, a waterspout down there. Yeah, sometimes 35 degrees just isn't enough to get these thunderstorms going. Well, Gympie, it looks promising. It looks promising. You may even see some hailstones in the Gympie area. This thunderstorm's really getting itself going now. That's an intensifying cell, and that is on a beeline for Gympie. Large hailstones now a possibility in the next 10 minutes through the Gympie area. Heaps of lightning towards your west and southwest, and at least 20 millimetres of rainfall coming through for the Gympie area, accompanied by some strong winds as well. That is great news because they are screaming out for some rainfall. Very, very happy to be able to report on that. That is for sure. Thunderstorm tomorrow? Nah, not likely. Unless it's further north, then thunderstorms are a bit of a possibility. Yeah, golf ball sized hail south of Brisbane, Wollongabba, those locations, big hailstones down there, 5 centimetres in size. I want to do it anywhere south of the Brisbane River, all clear. Thunderstorms no longer a problem for those locations. Lightning now clearing off. Bit of heavy rainfall still towards the Lota and Ransom sort of area around Thornside, but it looks like the threat is now really beginning to drop off towards the south of the Brisbane River. No threat for the Gold Coast, Coomera or Sanctuary Cove by extension. Even Logan City, a bit of rainfall still going on. Some sporadic large drops are occurring there, but it looks like the threat is now really beginning to drop off for those locations as well. Excellent, excellent news. And it won't be long until I'm declaring the all clear for the northern parts of Brisbane as well. Pretty much everywhere apart from Redcliffe and the airport in the all clear right now, and that will also include Caboolture in about 15 minutes time. Bit of a thunderstorm still developing, which could go into the Caboolture area, but yeah, not likely to be too strong. Yeah, well, the moment of change will be getting going in Gympie right now. That is a big thunderstorm. Not as big as the Brisbane one, of course, but it still packs a punch, and it is still likely to bring some heavy rainfall, and some much needed heavy rainfall as well. stopping the live coverage over on the Facebook page right now. But yeah, that was a big thunderstorm that ripped through the Brisbane area. And it looks like Gympie is in for something relatively similar. Doing nothing in Gympie, yeah, well, it's not hit Gympie just yet, but it won't be long until it does. And severe thunderstorms in the Brisbane area are now cancelled. They're no longer occurring there. No warnings in the way of rainfall through the Brisbane CBD. Gympie is under a severe thunderstorm warning, likely to cop the direct hit from that thunderstorm. And that will also include the Noosa area as well. Noosa likely to be clipped by this severe thunderstorm. And it is warned for damaging winds, large hailstones and heavy rainfall. Personally, I expect gusts up to 100 kilometres an hour. Hailstones up to 2 or 3 centimetres in size of the Gympie area. Nothing too crazy, but still relatively large. And heavy rainfall close to, if not above, that 50 millimetre mark in a few spots, but more widespread totals between the 10 to 20 or 10 to 30 millimetre mark. And Donna, welcome to the channel sponsorship program. Massively appreciated. All clear now for Redcliffe. Thunderstorms no longer occurring in the Redcliffe area. Rainfall is now beginning to pull away from Redcliffe. This also includes the Brisbane city area. It is now all clear. Ipswich, all clear. Caboolture, not yet. Bribie Island, not yet. Glasshouse Mountains, not yet. And then, as we know, Maroochydore still under that severe thunderstorm warning. Coolum under that severe thunderstorm warning. Noosa looking at a thunderstorm in the next 15 minutes or so. It could get quite strong up there too. Noosa could be in for a pretty strong lightning show, that's for sure. Just looking out here outside of Kenilworth, south of, or towards the north actually, of Kilcoy. There is a lot of lightning in those thunderstorms. There's a lot of lightning in the Gympie one. Now the worst of this storm is actually going to pass just towards the north of Gympie, but we will still see some pretty significant lightning and rainfall activity there. In terms of flooding prospect, it is there, but it isn't exactly high. But this rainfall very much needed. So that's great to see. Yeah, 57,000 customers offline now on the power side of things. That's at least 200,000 people without power in Brisbane. Like I said, nearly 10% of the city's population. That is a big number to be without power. And that's going to take a long time to get back on. It's going to be one of the biggest power outages that we've seen in quite some time through the Brisbane city area, or the biggest unplanned power outage, of course, in the Brisbane city area. Pretty crazy stuff. Nambour at the moment, but still plenty of lightning. Yeah, there is a lot of lightning in these thunderstorms as they move through. North of Beerwah as well, north of Maleni. It also looks like Caloundra and Maroochydore are kind of just going to get clipped by this. Coolum's about as far south as I see this thunderstorm significantly impacting. But we still may see some heavy rainfall here and there. Woodford currently got a bit of a shower moving through, and you can see a bit of a punch in that. No hail, but still a bit of a punch, so we will watch that closely. But yeah, I definitely reckon Coolum, but especially Noosa and Gympie, likely to get a significant hit from this thunderstorm. And checking on our friend back in the Moreton Bay area, heavy rainfall through the Moreton Bay, but this thunderstorm now very much on its way out as it rolls through, which is good news. On its last legs. Very happy to be able to report on that, because it has been an absolute doozy of a storm. And a very long-lived thunderstorm. Any questions or comments, feel free to send them through into the chat. And as well, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing and leave a like on the stream as well whilst you are at it. Just trying to get some of the live chat stuff up so that I can answer more questions. Turns out it's quite difficult to do. Yeah, it's been a doozy, that's for sure. Today's been a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning, a lot of activity in general. It sure has been a long, long day, and it's been a long build up to this day as well. In terms of what we've been looking at thunderstorm wise, it has been a very, very, very big build up. Lots and lots of action, that's for sure. And just so much lightning now moving through into the areas towards the north of Gympie. And that's going to translate to some strong thunderstorm activity moving through into those regions as well. So good to see. They do need the thunderstorm. They do need this rainfall coming through. So again, very, very good to see that we've finally got some healthy rainfall accumulations on the radar now for Gympie. They're imminent. They're going to happen. It's not going to bust out in the Gympie area. So happy to be able to report on that. But yeah, the worst of it looks like it is going to pass just towards the northwest of Gympie, unlike what this forecast is saying. Just towards the northwest of Gympie, the worst of this thunderstorm will move through. But again, like I said, still very likely to see some heavy rainfall accumulations, some much needed heavy rainfall accumulations at that, which is exciting. And it looks like it is actually getting a bit stronger as well. Now, Gympie, the temperature is dropping like a rock, down from 35 degrees today. Winds will begin to pick up momentarily. They're just calming off now, calm before the storm. And that humidity now shot up into the 60s. So it definitely will feel like a thunderstorm is imminent. Moving from WA to Southeast Queensland, well, I'm considering it. I'll leave it at that. Sunshine Coast dome in full force. I wouldn't say so. There's going to be places on the Sunshine Coast, like I said, north of Maroochydore, Coolum, Noosa, that get these severe thunderstorms. Gympie as well, likely to get severe thunderstorms. Maryborough also likely to see at least a squall or two move through, but in terms of really nasty stuff coming through into the Gympie, into the Maryborough area, not going to be overly powerful or overly potent or overly strong in that area, fortunately. But they could really do with some rainfall. So that's kind of the thing with these thunderstorms, is we're talking about it's give and take. Like, if we do see thunderstorms coming through, it's great because it means rainfall for these parched locations. But if we don't see thunderstorms, then it means that they get spared the nasty impacts like destructive winds and hail. So it makes it a bit difficult as a forecaster, because I've really got to be careful onto what I say, because thunderstorms are great in the sense that they're going to be bringing this much needed rainfall. And to be honest, like, Southeast Queensland is tropical. It's designed to see thunderstorms, and thunderstorms are an integral part of the climate across Southeast Queensland. So without storms, it's bad, and things turn to drought really quickly. But they also cause pretty significant losses and pretty significant damage and devastation at times, like we're likely to see into the Ipswich area in the wake of this thunderstorm that's moved through. So it really is give and take. It really is kind of a double-edged sword. So yeah, moving into the Gympie area now, it's a strong thunderstorm. Much needed rainfall, but doesn't look like it's kind of the perfect storm. It's strong enough as to where rainfall is going to be significant, and it's given them a great light show and some really good entertainment, that's for sure. But it's not strong enough as to where it's all sorts of problems. It's not a problem system that's coming through, which again, very, very good. Very excited to be able to report on that. Rainfall picking up on the southern tip of Bribie Island right now as well. The very southern tip of Bribie Island, some heavy rainfall moving through there. And it looks like I can now finally give the all clear for Caboolture as well. This thunderstorm cell here never got off the ground, and it doesn't look like it's going to now either. Will Gympie get hail? Likely. We're likely looking at some small hailstones in the Gympie area. Nothing crazy, of course, but definitely some small hailstones into the Gympie area. Around that kind of 2 to 3 centimetre threshold. So you're talking 5-cent coins. Not too problematic at this point in time, and that's kind of where we are looking at right now on the hail side of things into the Gympie area. Thunder and lightning at Sippy Downs. Yep, lots and lots of thunder and lightning. There's a huge amount of thunder and lightning to go around today. I mean, just have a look at this. This is live lightning coming through, and this is just cloud to ground lightning. So normally we're talking about a number 3, 4, 5 times the amount that we're seeing on the screen right now. But yeah, some really, really significant, some serious lightning activity unfolding across Southeast Queensland. Really, really crazy stuff. Yeah, tanks are empty. Nudie rain dance. Whatever works at the end of the day, whatever works. But yeah, for Gympie, rain is imminent. 5 minutes. Very, very happy to be able to say that. Very good news indeed. Moreton is getting smashed, yeah. Moreton Island copping a direct hit from a serious thunderstorm, especially the southern tip of it, so south of Tangalooma, and then down along here across some of those four-wheel drive tracks, and then north of Kurungul. Lots and lots of thunderstorm activity, and that actually looks like Tangalooma in the next kind of 10 minutes or so is going to get a pretty significant hit from this Moreton Bay thunderstorm that's blowing through. That is packing a punch as well. So much happening around the Gympie area. Exciting stuff. Let's just check the Doppler wind, make sure that we're not looking at any spinny stuff. So we do have some strong winds, and you can actually see some embedded rotation in this thunderstorm line that's moving through. Don't worry about this. This is just glitchy stuff here because the precipitation rates are so intense. Gusts well in excess of 90 kilometers an hour are expected with this squall line as it moves through. Gympie is likely feeling them right now. Gusts around that 70 to 80 kilometer an hour mark, pushing 110 in a few spots. But it's not going to be kind of that embedded supercell type stuff. There is some rotation in these thunderstorms, but it's more in the upper level, and it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing these things drop tornadoes or anything too nasty or too spinny right now. Again, we'll be watching Gympie like a hawk in the next few moments. Possibilities for some pretty juicy stuff in the Gympie area, particularly for rainfall. And yeah, Brisbane to Bundaberg, that's where these thunderstorms are extending right now. In fact, beyond Bundaberg, Brisbane to inland from Rockhampton around Emerald. And you can see those brown areas is where lightning has been in the last hour. There's been so much of it. We knew that this would be a big line of thunderstorms later in the day, and it's living up to it. The forecast was bang on for a lot of places. Gives me great confidence in the long-range outlook. Clear blue skies on the Gold Coast, lovely to hear. Not from a rainfall perspective, but the fact that they dodged the thunderstorms as expected, great to see. Gympie getting hit now. Yep, that makes sense. Rainfall will be building across the Gympie area, and it really looks like that's going to pick up in the... I've completely lost Gympie, it's further up here. Yeah, it's really going to pick up in the next 2 or 3 minutes or so. Lots of lightning, strong winds as well. So if you're in Gympie, let me know what the conditions are like. It's likely packing a reasonable punch. And I'll be very keen to hear exactly what is going on in the Gympie area. Crazy. It has been a big, big day, that is for sure. But lots and lots of thunderstorm activity, lots and lots of very interesting stuff has happened. I mean, that supercell that blew over the Brisbane area in its own right was incredible. It was super strong. And yeah, a very, very exciting storm to track, a very, very exciting storm to see move over, but it was a powerful one. It was extremely strong, and it really did pack a punch. And thank you so much for that generous donation, and thank you again for the very generous donation last time I was running live coverage as well. That's massively, massively appreciated, and it goes a long way as well. Cool air coming through into the Gympie area ahead of these thunderstorms, as we would expect. They're moving through. Great stuff. Yep, and Gympie will be well and truly in the thick of this storm now. Again, wind speeds haven't updated just yet. Oh, the rain gauge is no longer reporting. So where they've just been knocked out by hail, that wouldn't make sense because of the wind gusts. They just haven't picked up yet. But Gympie might be seeing something a little bit more significant than what the radar does suggest. We'll know in about 5 minutes or so. Spectacular lightning west of Noosa. These thunderstorms, we knew that they would be lightning dominant, and they have not disappointed. They have been crazy dense with lightning, and you think this was impressive. The lightning outside of Cooroy here, outside of Noosa. The lightning in the Brisbane CBD area south of Brisbane was absolutely incredible. It was crazy. It was. So, yeah, massive, massive. Thank you so much, Mel, for the very kind words. Massively appreciated. 100 metres up the track next to the neighbour's place. Tree fall apart. Yeah, these lightning bolts would be splitting trees open. Very, very powerful lightning. Lots and lots of lightning as well. So, yeah. Very, very serious stuff unfolding across Southeast Queensland. Crazy stuff, you might say. But yeah, let me know what's going on in Gympie. It's right over the top of Gympie right now, this thunderstorm moving into the Gympie area. I'm very, very keen to see what we're looking at thunderstorm-wise in Gympie. But I mean, for the southeast coast of Queensland, Brisbane, the Gold Coast, those sort of locations, it is over. And I think we can comfortably give the all clear now for these thunderstorms. Winds no longer reporting on the Brisbane station. I think that's just a glitch. It's just waiting to report back. And winds at the airport topped out at 65 kilometres an hour, so maybe that wasn't a very dangerous thunderstorm as it moved through. Still packed a punch, and thank you so much for that generous tip in the chat right now. Very keen to see what winds we end up seeing on the top of Moreton Island here at the lighthouse, because the thunderstorm is blowing through there right now, and if we have a look at the latest frame on the Doppler imagery, they don't look especially strong, but there may be some rotation in this thunderstorm, so I'll be keen to see what wind speeds we do end up seeing at the Cape Moreton lighthouse. They may pack more of a punch than we think. I second that. If you haven't already, consider leaving a like on the stream and subscribe if you haven't already. And a massive thank you to everybody that has subscribed over the last couple of weeks as well. Why is there so much lightning? It's just a very active sky. It's just a very energetic setup with a lot of lightning here. And that's why we've seen just so much lightning occur as a result of these severe thunderstorms. Just an extremely active setup for lightning. And in terms of it for Hervey Bay, it's moving up there right now, but it's not going to be too significant by the time it gets there. Some rainfall is expected, of course, but nothing too crazy expected around the Hervey Bay area. Will pack a punch though. And Patch, thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor. Name will be mentioned at the end of every forecast update. But yeah, the risk for the Brisbane area is done and dusted. No longer a significant threat down there. The severe thunderstorm warning has been dropped, and this thunderstorm here now moving offshore away from Moreton Island. And it looks like that's going to be a reduced threat now as it heads out into the northern parts, or into the, not the northern, the western parts of the Pacific Ocean. Slight rotation west of Gympie. These thunderstorms are presenting rotation signatures on the Gympie Doppler radar. So this stuff out here is just radar glitch. It's because the precipitation is so strong that it thinks that there's some kind of rotation happening in it. That's not the case. The thunderstorms now aren't rotating. They're non-severe squally thunderstorms moving through. They're still packing a punch, don't get me wrong. We've got some strong winds, heavy rainfall, and some small hailstones within, but they're not packing too much of a punch, and definitely nothing in the way of serious or significant rotation right now. And Izzy, thank you so much for that generous tip as well. Lightning is relentless. Yeah, it is. It's been crazy. The amount of lightning that's blown through today has been absolutely mental. So much of it, and just in the last hour as well. So this is a I'll get through a 6-hour loop of what we've seen throughout the course of today. Just so much lightning. Once these thunderstorms develop, they threw out lightning bolts left, right, and centre. And then as they drew in towards southeast Queensland, just more and more lightning was extremely prevalent, extremely persistent. And yeah, it's just been relentless, this lightning activity through southeast Queensland. Just north of Gympie, can see them coming on the horizon. Sure, they would be coming in thick and fast, and lots of thunderstorms expected further north of Gympie as well, up towards Tyro, and they are not far away. But these thunderstorms are a little bit weaker north of Tyro. They're not packing the same punch. A little bit lighter the rainfall, not as much lightning. It looks like it's going to kind of thread the needle here just towards the north of Gunalda, and then up towards Rainbow Beach. We'll see these thunderstorms impact shortly. Maroochydore copping some rainfall right now. Coolum moments away from seeing these thunderstorms blow through, and then Noosa will be about 15 minutes behind them, where these thunderstorms are going to move through there. Yeah, lots and lots of reports of this humidity really beginning to pick up as well further north along the Sunshine Coast, as we would expect ahead of a thunderstorm like this. humidity is going to be extremely prevalent and extremely present in the atmosphere. Getting some lightning, only some. Well, there's more than just some lightning on the Sunshine Coast right now. Inland, there is a lot of it. So much of it to go around. They are really active thunderstorms. Gladstone should be fine. Same with Rockhampton. Both the Gladstone and the Rockhampton Dome will be in full swing by the looks of things. Conditions shouldn't get too crazy for either location. Whew. Just so much lightning. It's just constant and it is relentless. Mount Perry getting it now. Yep. Severe thunderstorms into the Mount Perry area. Just to zoom back in on the Gympie radar as well, we don't have an update just yet, but it looks like that rainfall coming in thick and fast. Wind gusts haven't been too strong as we expected. This is very likely now a non-severe thunderstorm. It is still actually classed as a severe thunderstorm. Oh, but the bomb hasn't updated this in quite a while now. Yeah, I really don't think it's a severe thunderstorm. The gusts are still quite strong, but in terms of severe, maybe not anymore. Anyone in Gympie, give us an estimate on how strong the wind gusts did get. My number would be around 60 or 70 kilometers an hour. In other words, non-severe, but yeah. Crazy, crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy, crazy stuff. No hail at Gympie. Power just cut out and is now back on. Yeah. Flickering around, that's what it will be. Lots of lightning around, lots of rainfall. It's definitely now on the weakening side for Gympie. Noosa's about to cop it, but yeah, these thunderstorms are now very much on their way out, and I think I can safely say that the severe threat is more or less done and dusted. Through Southeast Queensland, the severe thunderstorm threat is now more or less on the way out. I think it's now time for people to breathe a sigh of relief if you've missed them and begin cleaning up the mess of trees and leaves and all sorts of stuff that's going to be left behind by these thunderstorms. The risk is still there further up on the Sunshine Coast later today, but yeah. Right, having a look at Gympie, it is really bad. How bad are we talking? There's obviously no reports of hail just yet, but yeah, wind's getting stronger around the Hervey Bay area. We're looking at the storm blowing through into the Hervey Bay area later tonight, but again, it will be comparatively a lot weaker to what we have seen through Southeast Queensland this afternoon. Pretty significant, that's for sure. And yeah, just like I said, still so much rainfall. So much rainfall has came down from some of these thunderstorms. No update yet from BOM. They'll probably take another 20 minutes or so to update that warning. Nothing at Moreton Island yet. 57 kilometre an hour gusts, pretty stock standard, and it already looks like the wind's beginning to drop down there as well. And in terms of the strongest gusts for the Brisbane area, 65 kilometres an hour. Good rainfall though, 30 millimetres. Very much welcome rainfall as well. And again, these storms now really much on their way out through Southeast Queensland, so no longer a significant threat. They're now pulling further out into the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, even out towards Toowoomba, you can see the thunderstorms. Toowoomba actually got 23 millimetres. A lot of that would have came very, very quickly. But the bulk of these storms now moving further north. Gympie has had 19 millimetres in probably about, it would have been close to about 10 minutes or so. Yeah, so Gympie has picked up 19 millimetres of rainfall in 10 or 15 minutes. That's very, very quick, that's for sure. Gusts probably closer to about 55 or 60 kilometres an hour. Non-severe, but definitely a good punch. And much needed rainfall as well. So, good. So no hail yet in Gympie. Wind is bad. Yeah, 55, 60 kilometers an hour will blow things around. Rain and noise in Coolum. Yeah. Southwest at Mount Perry, it is black. It is black, that is for sure. Continue to look blacker and blacker as these thunderstorms pull further to the north. Oh wow, so this is a great look actually at these thunderstorms. Look at that wall cloud. Very, very strong, but this is now very much a squall, which means these thunderstorms are now likely of the non-severe variety. And this is at Amalup, west of Gympie. Actually, more towards the southeast of Gympie, actually. The camera is now offline in Gympie as well, so they've definitely been blown around quite substantially too. This is actually looking south here. This is another webcam at Kagamugga, looking south. Very, very black skies there. And then this is just towards this is actually at Maryborough, looking south, looking pretty dark and ominous as well. So webcams don't lie. They're telling us quite a lot. Yeah, the rainfall is great news. And that's the double-edged sword, like I said, with these thunderstorms is whilst they're severe and they're packing a punch, they're bringing much needed rainfall. And we just cannot argue against rainfall right now through Southeast Queensland. It's their wet season and they need this rainfall very, very bad. Well, I am going to have to end this stream here. Any final questions or comments, please do consider sending them in now. I'll stay on air for a couple more minutes just to see if we do get anything coming through. But this severe thunderstorm outbreak, for all intents and purposes, is over, and it's now just general squall lines moving quickly towards the north and the northeast. So nothing crazy going on. Gympie will continue to be impacted, like I said, Noosa in the next 15 minutes. But non-severe thunderstorms is the variety that we're looking at. Small hailstones at the absolute worst, damaging wind gusts up to 90 kilometers an hour, and some heavy rainfall accumulations around that 40 millimeter mark is what we're looking at. Hervey Bay in about an hour or so, Bundaberg in about an hour and a half if thunderstorms even make it up there, but this storm around Mount Perry looks like it's beginning to peter off a little bit, and this large squall line about to cross in towards Billawheeler, but again, looks like it's beginning to peter out over there as well. The strong one is at Gympie. The really strong one's pushing offshore into the Pacific Ocean now, but it doesn't look like we've got too much going on right now into the Brisbane area as we did expect. But thank you so much for joining me for this 2 hours of coverage. If you've enjoyed it, then please do consider leaving a like, share this stream, and share my page around. And also click the subscribe button as well. Support is massively appreciated. If you're in a position to do so, click the join button and send through a super chat. Massively appreciated to everybody that's also done that through this stream as well. And thank you to all of the messages into the chat as well. Stay safe. Thunderstorm threat is not over on the Sunshine Coast, but the severe risk is now diminishing. Brisbane, it was a wild afternoon, but the worst is behind us, and thunderstorms are not going to be a problem for the remainder of the outlook by the looks of things. I'll be active over on the Facebook page for the next hour, sharing things that have came through, but for the time being, I'm going to take the evening off, enjoy a bit of R&R, have a few post-storm tracking beverages, hopefully. What has been what I believe to be a very successful forecast. And then we'll be back with coverage all through tomorrow on the severe thunderstorm outbreak that's forecast to begin on the 1st of November across Southeast Queensland. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for being here for this 2 hours of coverage. Massively appreciate each and every one of you. But it's going to be all from me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.